The latest in gaming is pretty much centering around the PS5 Pro. The PlayStation 5 Pro unboxing videos have landed just this morning, but prior to that, the PS5 Pro specs leaked, and it was causing quite a bit of disagreement and debate, right? I mean, the PS5 Pro, it's not a contentious topic, is it, right? No, it's been pretty calm as a piece of hardware, but just the specs were causing a bunch of dialogue and debate. And in the theme of PlayStation, we also have an insider who chimed in about the Wolverine game. There was a lot of worry and concern. I was a little worried. It's like, oh boy, you're changing leadership this late in the game, but an insider has spoken to that. We'll take a look at that as well. And PS5 Game Boost is apparently helping games even like Bloodborne, which we'll examine how much of a difference. And lastly, one of the Call of Duty developers could be helping with the next Halo. We'll take a look at if that is something that is believable. And as always, I have a couple of games for your wish list and your radar. So if you like this kind of content, I just uploaded a video this morning saying that the PS5 Pro is a PS5 killer, and we will happily discuss that with you in this live environment. If you don't agree with me, I feel like the marketing has shifted quite a bit since the thing landed. And check out that video, leave a comment. Comments on that video might end up featured in the live. Always remember to hit like and subscribe and consider becoming a member. We've been doing a lot of extra members content. $6 for Member Plus is the one you want to pick. So let's just talk about the PS5 Pro unboxing and the leaks, okay? Unboxing videos are cool, but they're not really showing much that we didn't expect to see, right? Like there's cardboard and there is, there's cardboard, there's stuff. There's cables, there's styrofoam, there's all kinds of things there. So that's not really what I want to focus on. This led to the PS5 Pro specs leaking over the weekend, and one of the more notable parts of this leak was the memory. I didn't realize they were going to do this. Insider Gaming reported that there is 16 gig of GDDR6 for the graphics, and then there is DDR5. There's 2 gig dedicated for operations. What this means is the GDDR6 memory is just for the games. It's just for the graphics and the developers to use. There's dedicated 2 gig of DDR5 memory for the operating system. This is a great choice. This is one of the bottlenecks we know that has caused issues on the Series S. So in upgrading this, not leaving that sort of, splitting or shaving off some of the memory, I think is a great choice. We'll see what that yields in the games. Now, there is a huge debate around this one line from Insider Gaming. There is an unspecified RDNA GPU at 16.7 teraflops. Now, some are saying that this version of RDNA will essentially double the teraflops up to 33. There's a video by D-Batch where he's claiming that. I saw this claimed in other places on Twitter. I don't have a clue about any of this, so I'm going to wait for other tech outlets to weigh in. Some are claiming that 16 teraflops is too low for the price of the console. Now, keep in mind, the base PS5 is only 10 teraflops, so it still is a nice jump. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what that yields and exactly what that means with respect to the actual RDNA and the GPU itself. Now, I've said very many times from the beginning that the anti-fans, the people that are very anti-Sony and sort of hate on everything they do, they've been quick to jump to conclusions and run with falsehood, and they really get ahead of themselves. And the facts always come out later and prove what actually is going on. Some people seem dedicated to getting egg on their face when it comes to the PS5 Pro. So as with most of the PlayStation 5 Pro coverage has gone, I would really expect those who are quick to hate or quick to misrepresent, they're going to continue to look really silly and uninformed. We'll wait for the actual people that know what they're talking about to break it down. Now, the same thing that sort of led to this, which is, hey, people have their PS5 Pros in their house and can mess with them now, is this thing called PS5 Pro Game Boost. Now, funny enough, a bunch of people, I guess, missed this. This was in the official PlayStation blog announcement about the PS5 Pro. They basically said that there's something called PS5 Pro Game Boost that can apply to the more than 8,500 backwards compatible PS4 games. So obviously, everyone can do this if they want. They can run this, and you're going to be, you know, seeing a performance boost. And everybody ran to Bloodborne. Oh, no, what are we going to get with Bloodborne? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't tell the difference, okay? People were saying that it was, like, looking better and sharpening up the resolution or something. It looked like a single pass of, like, if you've ever used Photoshop and you tell Photoshop to, like, sharpen the image, you know, little Super Troopers, enhance. Like, it's just one pass of sharpen. It looked slightly more crisp, but that's it. I barely noticed anything else. Now, here's the thing about Bloodborne. This is not going to be a magic wand to take a game like Bloodborne and make it 60 FPS. The mods for 60 FPS Bloodborne, they've had to spend quite a bit of time removing bugs and problems, because when you double the frame rate for a game that wasn't built for it, it can cause issues. The Horizon Zero Dawn port, whenever it came to PC, it had similar issues. There were like clothing animations and facial animations that were built for 30 FPS, and if you just double the frames, it can cause some oddities. So I don't think Game Boost is going to be there to turn an ocean of 30 FPS games into 60. Now, obviously, game devs could go back and do updates, yield the stronger version, yield the stronger GPU. I don't know if they're going to want to mess around with PSSR and all of that, because, again, these are older games. It might not be worth their efforts. Now, it might be worth their efforts to go back to an older game, test some things out, learn some great things, and then that can help them with their sequel. But even Xbox's FPS boost was not automatically applied. Devs had to go back in and make sure it would work properly, and Xbox kind of stopped focusing on that. So I don't think Game Boost is going to be a big focus for the PS5 Pro. I don't think it's going to be something they're going to spend a bunch of time on. It's there. It's cool. It's nice that, like, older games will run better. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a bunch of games are going to get, like, night and day treatment with the Pro. I'm not too keen on going back and playing a bunch of those games. I'm more interested in what they do going forward. And speaking of going forward, Wolverine. So this game is allegedly doing fine. In the wake of the creative director change, I was like, okay, this could be bad, because apparently the game is pretty far in development, and you never want to see that. That could mean a reset, right? It could also mean that the game is just going in a direction, and the director's like, I just really didn't want to go this way. I don't want my name attached to this, or I don't like where this is headed, you know, if they're halfway through or 3/4 of the way through or whatever. So in case you missed it, the creative director for Wolverine over there at Insomniac is now over at Perfect Dark. So switch teams, right? Switch from the blue side to the green side. And I think this could spell trouble for both games, right? They're late stage in development, and suddenly switching creative directors can be a sign of trouble. But according to Jeff Grubb, Wolverine is not in any trouble. GameRant.com said the following. Industry insider Jeff Grubb said that fans should not worry just yet. In the latest episode of Jeff Grubb's Game Mess on YouTube, Grubb and fellow insider Mike Minotti noted that Wolverine is still fairly far in development, with Grubb believing that Insomniac's track record with superhero games is a promising sign that Wolverine will meet fan expectations when it does launch on the PlayStation 5. Now, keep in mind here, Grubb is largely saying, like, hey, I'm confident in these guys, but he's also saying it's far in development. So what that sounds like to me is, I said one of the possibilities were it just went in a direction and the creative director didn't want to be there. If it's really far in development and you switch creative directors and then you reset the game or you restart, that's when it would become a concern. So the fact that that hasn't happened, I would say, is a good sign, right? We'll have to wait for these games to come out. To me, there's still no word on the creative director change at Perfect Dark either. That's also seemingly further in production, so that upheaval could be part of the consistent upheaval that project has had. They were losing directors, losing creative directors, losing staff, resetting the game. So maybe the game is finally on track and they want to bring somebody in who's an industry veteran to, like, really bring it across the finish line. Hopefully both of these games are in a good state and these director changes are merely to assist and help and not a sign of, like, starting over, right? All right, so the next one is, this one's thin. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Apparently, Halo is getting help from a Call of Duty developer, all right? So this video here is when they announced Halo Studios and the new Dawn, and according to Metro.uk, so take this with a grain of salt, obviously, but it is interesting that the thing got deleted, okay? So they say here, according to a now-deleted LinkedIn post from Andrew Wilson, Chief Operating Officer at Sledgehammer Games, where he said the team was looking to hire 8 developers familiar with Unreal 5 to work on an unexpected project. Now, what did he say? Well, in the post, he wrote, "I'm looking for friendly, hands-on collaborators with deep knowledge of Unreal 5 who thrive in an indie-style development environment." Now, the indie-style development makes me think this is not Halo, but many have speculated that other developers would come along and assist 343, who is now Halo Studios. They would be assisted by these other studios, and that could be, you could have these smaller support teams to maybe build out tools for Unreal to help build the future of Halo, which that could be a more indie style environment if you're just like a small team working within Unreal. So it's thin, but I wanted to run it because like we're going to kind of keep an eye on Halo from a distance as they just continue to work on whatever is next. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Sledgehammer could be slicing off some of their people to work on something that isn't Call of Duty, but we don't know if it's Halo just yet. So now I've got some games for your wish lists and your radar, and the first one was put on my radar this morning by one of our community members, Hadigan, and this is described as a Souls-like action RPG taking place in a sword and sorcery setting. Engage in fluid 2D pixel and art swordplay, hunt witches, track monsters, and experience the age of high adventure. This is called Crimson Capes. So Crimson Capes really stuck out to me. It got my attention because of the animation and the sword play. It looked really interesting to be in a 2D environment, to have such a focus on the fluidity of the sword play. Now, the developer behind this game, they have two other games on Steam that are rated about 74%. So maybe proceed with caution. Just throw it on a wish list. Check out a demo if one comes out. Their games are not necessarily the highest rated, but they're also not bad either. So Crimson Capes was one that was put on my radar. So I wanted to put it on yours, and if it ends up on your wish list, let me know. If you ever hear anything about it, say, hey, Lono, they dropped a demo, or hey, it's releasing in early access, and then we'll bring it back to the forefront and check it out. A lot of times I check out these smaller games with members. Karate Survivor is one that I'm just going to keep saying, please check this game out. It's like insane how good and high quality it is. I really hope Karate Survivor can get enough money and be successful enough on Steam and put their game on mobile and console, as Vampire Survivors has done very well also. Now, this next one is coming out like this week, and this was one that I saw Asmongold play because he's part of the company behind it. This is published by Mad Mushroom and developed by Bitcake Studio. This is called Atomic Picnic, and this one got my attention because it's an action roguelike. It obviously seems a little bit inspired by how Risk of Rain flows, but it also looks a little bit, Fortnite infused as well. It's got some pretty fast and frenetic action, but it's co-op, and I love a roguelike co-op. Now, currently it is only slated for Steam, and, furries are going to be excited about some of these characters, I imagine. It's only slated for Steam, so you can wishlist it on Steam, play it this week. I'll probably check it out myself. I really hope more and more games like this start coming to console, because I can buy it on PlayStation, and then we can play it together. I don't have to buy it twice, right? My wife can play on her account, I can play on mine, and then we can play together. Well, Steam has family sharing, but it doesn't work for co-op games. I basically have to buy the game twice, and I have to be really confident that my wife and I are going to enjoy a game if I'm going to buy it twice. A lot of the times we play these games, and it's like, well, I'm trying it out, I'm testing it out, so I don't mind buying it, because I showcase it to you, and I may enjoy it myself. Like Windblown is an example of an amazing game from the folks over there at Dead Cells that I've enjoyed quite a bit, but I know my wife wouldn't like it. It's too frenetic. It's too fast-paced, so I didn't buy it twice. But one like this, it's like, I'm not even sure, so I'd have to kind of buy it twice. But I did want to put this on your radar. It does look, again, very similar to Risk of Rain. My big question is there meta progression? People are really making fun of me now because all I ever talk about is meta progression. But if there's no overarching progression for games like this, it makes it become pretty stale pretty fast. Risk of Rain 2 felt that way to us. My son and I feel that way about Brotato. So there's just no sense of like, oh, wow, there's a sense of progression and I'm stronger every time. No, you literally start over. So Returnal and Gunfire Reborn and other games I think are much better at the meta progression, so you feel like there's a sense of investment. Now, last but certainly not least, Mario and Luigi Brothership is landing in 3 days, and the review embargo dropped this morning. Now, many people were thinking that this game might make a mad dash for the Game of the Year nomination for Nintendo, since they're seemingly going to be out this year. They're usually up there with at least somebody. But both the Legend of Zelda game and this Mario and Luigi game, to me, I kept saying they would probably land in the low 80s. Not because they're bad, but just because they're not going to hit that broad spectrum of approval and appeal and get those high scores so consistently. This game is currently has an 80 on Metacritic, and that's not a bad score, but the score is very spread. I did a quick count. There were roughly 15 scores in the 70s and 15 scores in the 90s. So very split. People are either, kind of meh on this or singing its praises. The overall 80 is about what I expected. Definitely, if you're interested in this one, check out the good and bad reviews to see what resonates with you, because it could be perfect for you or it could be disappointing, as the review outlets seem very split. So there's a lot to discuss this morning with the live environment and the live audience. The PlayStation 5 Pro unboxing videos have led to the specs getting leaked and everybody kind of debating them. Kind of debating what the specs mean, but also I put out a video this morning saying that the marketing of the Pro has shifted, and it feels more like a generational shift, like they're pitting the Pro against the standard version in a way I didn't expect. We had an insider chime in on Wolverine. PS5 Game Boost is surprising folks, and then there could be a Call of Duty developer helping on the future of Halo. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, and that's the news. And now it's time for the discussion. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Go through your morning ritual. I already have people to thank. A 10 bomb for Cardoc Ren. Han shot first, and so did you. The first gifted member of the day, and it's a 10 bomb. And then Joker Quinn came in with a single. Sorry, that's the 10 bomb again for Cardoc. I double hit it. And then a single for Joker Quinn, and then a single for DK Bager. And then You Silly Moose renews Member Plus for a month. Thank you so much. That's your second month, basically. Thank you so much for picking Member Plus. Those of you that have been supporting the content directly with the Member Plus renewal. And don't forget, if you prefer to super chat instead of gifting members, we have a goal there too. And if you hit enough super chats, I have to gift members to the community, and I add mine to the count. So you can help with the member count even with super chats if that's what you prefer. Some people said that they prefer to do it that way. That's the news. Now for some view on the news. A lot of you guys are disagreeing with my video about the PS5 Pro being a PS5 killer. And again, to me, the whole point was, dude, the way they're talking about this is not just for the enthusiasts. They're saying, no, this is the new PlayStation. This is the new PlayStation. If you want the best graphics, it's this one. Yeah, it's better than the PS5. Like, that's not what I expected. I expected this to be far more packaged for the enthusiast. Now, I'm seeing a comment here from my man Brooklyn Breed, and he says, Black Ops 6 is Pro enhanced. Is this official? Is this official news? Who's this person here? Ty Ducks is on Twitter making the claim. I state my OP review in a single tweet, a guy who loves video games. So they have 23,000 followers, and they're out here claiming that it's going to be Pro enhanced. Let's see here. PlayStation 5 Instagram photo. Did somebody get a picture of Black Ops being enhanced? Is this been official? Has this actually happened? PlayStation has officially announced it. It is on the PlayStation blog. I completely missed that when we saw that list of 50 this morning. That is what we were curious about. It's official from PlayStation. That Kung Fu shirt is fire. This is a classic. It's a classic. Yeah, I wanted to wear a classic shirt though. The PlayStation blog confirms that Black Ops is enhanced. So we looked at that this morning, and I didn't even look at the list. I was just like, why are they only saying 50? We have lists of confirmed 80 games that are at that level. And here's the official blog right here. PS5 Pro 50 enhanced games available at launch November the 7th. And right here, smack dab at the top of the list, just a couple down, is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Savage Sharkbite with 38 months. Have a great week, everyone. And then Lorcan Adrian with 8 months and a Member Plus says 3 sleeps to go. Thank you so much. That boosts the member count already. What a strong start to the week for 15. We're 10 away from the first 25 where I have to give 5. Thank you guys so much for continuing to renew and gift and support the channel. Yeah, the confirmed list is over 90. So it's interesting that PlayStation is not saying that number. It's interesting. Yeah, it's official from PlayStation. That's crazy to me. Now, here's what's interesting. If we go to the actual storefront, Black Ops 6 PlayStation Store, has it been added to the storefront on PlayStation just yet? I don't see the tag yet. It has not yet been added. And a 10 bomb from Siriu takes the bait and gets us the first 25 of the week. Thank you so much, Siriu. I owe you guys 5 members. Thank you so much for doing that. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's get those first 200 likes. It's free. It is free to press the like button, and it helps me out. It helps more people find the video. Take a little sip of coffee there. If you guys haven't checked out the updated Reforge Roast website and you're a coffee drinker, be sure to do that. Thank you to everybody who continues to buy the coffee. We shipped a bunch out last week. And there's the 5 members that I owe you. Thank you guys so much. The 50 is day 1 only, and Gran Turismo 7 is not part of the list either. Oh, maybe that's the distinction, is that day 1. So these other games that are confirming they're going to be PS5 Pro enhanced, maybe their patches and updates won't be available until after the launch date. So what they're saying is, day 1, moment 1, you're going to have over 50 games, and one of them is Black Ops 6. What's interesting about that is, and I continue to say this, I was curious how they were going to handle big first-party releases like Call of Duty, or we know Doom the Dark Ages is next year, when it's a multi-plat release, right? Indiana Jones is staggered, so it won't surprise me at all if Indiana Jones has the label like day 1, because it's a staggered release. But on a multi-plat release, it'll be really interesting, because the Pro wasn't out yet, right? The Pro was not out yet, so it makes sense it wasn't really a part of anything. But I'm really, really curious, once the Pro is out, and something like Doom the Dark Ages comes out, is Xbox going to allow that kind of confirmation before the game even hits? Let's say that we're a week away from Doom the Dark Ages coming out. Are they going to allow that to be stated? Are they going to allow that to be on the landing page of the game? Indeed it is. Thank you, Brooklyn Breed. That's my man right there, Brooklyn Breed, for the update on that. Let's see. I want to read some comments on my PS5 killer video here. PMax says, I do plan on picking up a Pro eventually. It's just so much more capable than the base PS5. It's nothing against your base PS5. It's great for a lot of people. It's just if you want to play games at quality and 60, you go with the Pro. Agreed. I'm telling you, I just didn't see it coming. I didn't see the level of bullishness. You know what I mean? I just didn't see it. A VIP renewal from Kat. Like a good wine, the stream gets better with age. And I'm sure you do as well, Kat. I'm sure you do as well. And thank you so much. Michael McDonald with 15 months, 3 more sleeps. Guys, make sure you're checking to see if you have a renewal to celebrate. It adds to the count when you're Member Plus or VIP. So upgrade to Member Plus and then celebrate your renewals. The Pro label is a boost to sales, and not having it announced prior to launch would be bad marketing. Do you guys agree with what Eugene is saying? Do you think that, like with Black Ops 6, for example, would they have had the label? Would they have had the label prior to release? If like, let's just say that the Pro was already out. Achievement unlocked. It's coming. I knew it. That's great. I love that, Fuzzy. You see people not being very happy with Monster Hunter Wilds PC performance. I mean, I kind of knew that was coming. I mean, I'm not trying to say I told you so, but after what happened with Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm like, I don't think this RE engine's great for open world environments. So, yeah, folks weren't having the greatest experience with it. There were people that figured out how to tweak things and get better results, but man, that engine's just having a hard time with the open world, you know. And I told people, I said, I don't know about that game's performance. I'd be very leery of it. It's maintaining like low 50s in combat on the PlayStation 5, and the image quality was pretty bad. Anthony Robinson with 15 months and a membership renewal. Count it, my number one gamer dude and fellow pro player. I appreciate that. You guys already moving that line a little bit closer to the next potential dunker. Thank you so much, Anthony. And then Ravenseer says, ultimate, the consumer is going to do what they're going to do. I think Sony is framing it just to ensure maximum buy the product, and it's not subsidized. Great video. Totally agree. I think they're testing the market a little bit. If Space Marine 2 drops below 60, then this console is just trash. People claim the Pro is better than a 4090. Now is time to prove that. Every game and dev and engine is different, though. Like, you can't hold one game as a guillotine over the Pro. That doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. Like, if Space Marine 2 has issues, you have to look at the litany of other games. Like, imagine you have 50 games that are Pro enhanced and 49 are crushing it and this one's a little shaky. That's not an indictment of the Pro. You'd have to look at that individual game. You have to amass a pattern before you come to a conclusion like that. Conquest with the $5 super chat tip says, I came across your stream months ago. So glad to be part of the greatness. Also, who do you think will win tomorrow? I'm not giving you an answer on that. I literally am not paying attention to it. I'm not talking about it. So I appreciate your super chat, though. I appreciate you being here. That is not something that I talk about or weigh in on. This is a gaming channel. Did that fool say 4090 better than the Pro? I mean, I don't know. I'm not even engaging with the comparisons anymore. It's just like, every game is different. Every game is different. Every dev is different. Every engine's different. If one game has an issue, you can't act like that's an indictment of the entire thing. One of the reasons that I have been extremely pushy about the Series S is because there's a pattern. It wasn't like one game came out and was problematic on the S. There's a pattern. There's also a pattern of developers speaking to it. That's when I start to say, yeah, this is a problem. We don't have a pattern with the Pro. It's not out yet. The pattern with the Pro is it's doing great work. Devs are singing its praises. Tech outlets are singing its praises. And seemingly, even first-party, Xbox games are lining up to get the enhancements. And a VIP from Rogue Necro. Good morning, Lono and chat. Good to see you, Rogue Necro. It's a long-standing name around these parts. Appreciate you very, very much. Almost 3 years. The 4090 claim is just a talking point to discredit the Pro. No one believes the Pro is competing with a $1,500 card. Right. I mean, you could compare it to anything. You could compare, you could compare the Pro to the right rig and it will lose. That's just going to happen. The better than a 4090 argument is a troll designed to get fanboys riled up. The person who said it doesn't believe it. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the times people say that knowing it's not true. Where you get the 4090 for $1,500, try $1,800 to $2,500. Yeah. It's basically a form of... we call it shadowboxing or straw manning when you're arguing against a really stupid point. That's almost like somebody is manufacturing the straw man and the shadow box. They're like, hey, use your alt account, or hey, go make this stupid, dumb, outlandish claim, and then we can smack it down and say, oh, look at all the dumb PlayStation fanboys who think this thing's going to be equal to this. Like, it's basically a form of, it's like shadow boxing and poisoning the well had a baby. Like, these are fallacies, right? These are bad ways of arguing. And it's like, we're going to intentionally concoct a bad argument. We're going to make it seem like a PlayStation fan says it, and then we're going to wail on it and make money doing so. I made a lighthearted joke about my Xbox Series X over the weekend, and you would have thought that I was the person who killed the squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, squirrel. Okay, rest in peace, Peanut. Anyways, you would have thought that I was the one that killed the squirrel. It's like, I just made a joke about the Series X. Like, everybody needs to relax. It's just attacking me and getting angry. It's like, settle down. Settle down. It's not that serious. It isn't. I am disappointed in a piece of hardware. That doesn't mean that I'm like in my feels about it. I've moved on. Listen, I've moved on. A lot of people have moved on. Homies, check your Twitter feeds. Check them. There's people are moving on. It wasn't a joke. It's serious. Mine's collecting dust. It was said in jest, though, Brooklyn. You know, Ryan McCaffrey posted the picture of his PSVR 2 with dust on it. I was just making a joke. It was like, it's collecting dust. Maybe I should take a picture of it. It was just a joke, okay? Just a little levity. In light of the fact that, yes, I've moved on. A lot of people have. They're like, listen, we thought we were going to get this. We didn't. It's time for me to switch teams, or it's time for me to switch sides, or it's time for me to change my loadout. Right? Have you ever played a game? Have you ever been playing a game and you just refuse to change your loadout? I'll raise my hand. I'm the worst offender. I refuse to change. I'm like, I'm not changing my loadout. I'm not changing what I'm doing. I'm going to lose to this boss 15 more times and blame the game. And I'm not going to change my loadout. We've all been there, okay? We've all been stubborn and thought that there was no reason to change our loadout. And then we change our loadout and everything gets better, okay? We swallow our pride. We change our loadout and we're like, oh yeah, you were right. A lot of people are just changing their loadout. It's not that serious. They're like, this isn't working anymore. I'm going to change my loadout. I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 Pro. Cool. That's not that big of a deal. It's not. You know? I changed my loadout when the 360 came out because I thought, I don't want to update my hardware anymore. I want to play Call of Duty with the boys. And we all bought 360s. Me and a couple of the guys that I worked with. We changed our loadout. Changing your loadout is admitting defeat. That's the ego I love to hear from a Souls player. Changing your loadout is admitting defeat. Hesitation is defeat. Come on. This guy here remarks on my PS5 killer video. He says, that's just it. I just bought a PS5 for my kids in the summer. I got an extra controller, Astro Bot, and the limited edition controller for $700 here in Canada. I didn't, and then don't feel some type of beginner PSSR technology, not for $300 extra. I will wait. Listen, it's totally fine to wait. It is. It's totally fine to wait. Do you want to know why it's totally fine to wait? Because of what the co-CEO said. He's like, we can spin up technology a lot faster now. Yeah, we can do this in 3 to 5 years. Yeah. He's like, phones upgrade once a year, PCs upgrade once a year. Yeah, we can do this a lot faster. Ashen bumps the line to 30, tempting the 20 bomb dunker to 50. We'll see if anybody takes the bait, Ashen. See if any of the big boys are around. And this is what Ashen says. 38 months of membership. Is that Bloodborne I see in the thumbnail? It is. How dare you toy with our hearts like this? Take my money and may it intensify your guilt. Listen to me, Ashen. Listen. You will never get your fucking money back. No, I'm just kidding. You will never get Bloodborne at 60 FPS. There was images circulating of Bloodborne with this PS5 Pro Game Boost. I found it to be very unimpressive. It was very unimpressive. And people were circulating it. And I was like, you guys are circulating an image that doesn't look that great. You know what I mean? It doesn't look that great. It certainly is a slight, I mean very slight improvement, but it is not at all. It is not at all a light leap of jump, you know, a light year leap of jump. And it's also not going to do anything from your frame rate, so I kind of don't care. This guy says, getting the Asus OLED monitor in the Pro on release, coming from the ROG Ally. I'll use my Xbox for games. Excellent choice. Do what's best for you. Yeah, it's going to be a slight image boost. This guy here, MG9334, says, marketing was perfect on the Pro. They anticipated the crap storm. Start with the crap storm, work your way up through word of mouth. Not a bad analysis. I mean, do you think they played some kind of a 900 IQ chess game here where they knew, they were like, listen, people are absolutely going to be upset at the sticker price. So why don't we do this? They're like, put it out there. Don't really go crazy into detail. Don't go over the top. You know, and then let that stuff come out slowly. I mean, that's not a terrible analysis to think that they knew sticker shock was going to be a thing. They knew it was going to be a thing. They knew people were going to be like, are you kidding me? $700? And they were like, save the good wine. You know? Let the hearer understand. You know, save the good stuff. Save it for the end, because everyone's gonna fixate on the price, and you're gonna blow a bunch of your marketing while everyone's screaming and seething about the price in these YouTube videos. We can save all our ammunition for after that firefight. So sure, we throw out our video, everybody fixates on the price. Okay. Now that topic has died down. Then the hands-on previews comes out. Then they come out with marketing where they're like, oh no, yeah, this is so much better than the PS5. You're going to feel FOMO on the PS5. The true vision of our games, the quintessential version of our games is on the PS5 Pro. It's like, what? All the YouTubers complaining about the price bought one? Of course they did. You want to know what they won't buy? They won't all be buying $700 PCs to do comparison videos for. No, because that takes integrity. They won't do that. They'll certainly buy the Pro, but they won't buy those amazing $700 rigs they were all talking about building. Yeah, for some reason, they'll all avoid buying those. You know, I'm not sure why, since apparently they're so amazing. You know, everybody loves to bargain bin shop for a $700 PC so that they can get 4K and ray tracing and 60 FPS. That's all those words belong in the same sentence, don't they? Sven with 40 months and a VIP. Thank you so much, Sven. And he takes the member count to 31. Xbox fan channels got pros. Here's the thing I believe. I believe even the most egregious grifters play video games. I mean, maybe not. Some of them, if you check, they don't really play. They don't really play ever. But I do think some of them do. And it's really, really hard if you're a gamer and you're in this industry and you're in this world. It's really hard to ignore the new thing. It is. It's hard to ignore the new thing. You can squeal about it and scream about it and throw dirt in the air about it, and you're still going to be like, I don't want to miss out on that. I'll give you an example of something that I recently did. Jer8th with 16 months and a member plus. Going to make that member count jump to 32. So let me give you an example of something I did recently. I was on the fence with Dragon Age Veilguard, okay? I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I'm liking it way more than I expected. The rough edges of the combat are still there. I still think some of the targeting, their consistent use of enemies that disappear, I think is stupid, especially because their targeting and their camera system is so not great. Why do you constantly have enemies disappearing? Like, literally, they vanish and they teleport, like, over here. It's stupid. Anyways, overall, having a good time, though. Okay? Overall, enjoying it much more than I thought. Veilguard's combat is very, very good. The camera issues and the enemies disappearing issues, I can kind of eat around that. It's a pretty satisfying game, all right? When I bought the game, because I was on the fence, I just bought the standard version. And I hesitated because I saw the more expensive version with the shiny gold and all the extra stuff, and I thought, oh, I'm not getting all the good stuff, or I'm not getting what everybody else is getting. There was a part of me that felt that pull, and I think when a brand new piece of hardware like this drops, that's what happens. People are like, oh man, I kind of want the new thing. I went through that with the Steam Deck, but I knew I wouldn't use it. I was like, I'm never in a situation where I'm going to use a Steam Deck. So I didn't buy one. People are like, why don't you get one? You're gaming in your living room. Yeah, I bought a USB-C cable that's, 10 feet long, because I don't want to do Bluetooth, and I sit comfortably on my couch and play PC games, and I get the performance that I want on a nice big TV. Zelda with 21 months and a member plus. I'm so good at ignoring this new thing with 2 kids. Hey, that's one way. Thank you for helping us hit 33 members already on the day. That is one way to ignore it, is to, have children. I just bought expensive tool tickets. I shouldn't purchase the Pro, or should I? Well, I mean, obviously make a good financial decision. The Pro's not going anywhere. They didn't sell out because it was a pre-order, and they probably knew and anticipated what level of production would be required. So, you know, there's no rush. Why don't you want to use Bluetooth on controllers? I've always found when you have like onboarded Bluetooth on a computer, I've always had issues with it. To me, it's just easier just to plug the controller in. That's just me. I know you can buy dongles and stuff, and I just don't care to. Also, one of the real reasons I like to not use Bluetooth is it keeps my controller paired with my console. So I unplug it from the USB, and I can just turn on my PlayStation, and I can plug the DualSense in and use it. I'm not constantly have to do pairing and repairing, and I know I have enough controllers to maybe move it around, but then my kiddos are going to be like, oh, I want to use the Astrobot controller, and blah, blah, blah. It's just simpler. And it's not that far. It's not that far. There's like something on my glasses. It's not that far away, so it's not, to me, it's not a big deal. And I've just had issues with Bluetooth in the past. I feel like it either won't sync, or sometimes it won't connect, or sometimes it will, and then I feel like sometimes it like acts funky, and it's just like, just use cables. I don't care. I'm waiting for a new game that I can only play on the console before I get a Pro. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine, Zubair, that will be sometime next year. I think 2025 is going to be the year where the cadence of PlayStation first party starts to turn back up. They turned the dial down. Like, they turned it up when things started. Well, no, it was like, you know, Ratchet & Clank Returnal and Demon's Souls Remake, and then it was Gran Turismo 7, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, like all in the same year. And then it slowed down with Burning Shores and Spider-Man 2. Final Fantasy 16's not first party, so you can count it as an exclusive. And then this year, really first party, just like Astrobot and a Lego game, and even the Lego game, I don't know if it's first party, right? It's first party property. And then I think next year is where it swoops back up again. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima 2 would probably be the game that might convince you, because the first game's a dadgum masterpiece, so that could be one. You know, GTA 6 Pro bundle. Yeah, I don't know just how much you're going to see those two companies align with marketing. That would be pretty killer. It would be pretty killer. Miles? You didn't need a PS5 for Miles, though. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, you're saying just first party? I always forget Miles. Didn't Miles come out? I felt like Miles came out before, though. What was the release date of that game? I always forget. What was it? No, yeah, it was November. No, I always forget Miles. According to Gaming Bolt, Empire of Ants runs natively at 1440 to 1600 on the Xbox Series X at 30. Meanwhile, the PS5 Pro achieves 60 FPS at 4K, upscaled from 1440. All hail PSSR. I told y'all, the PSSR effect. I tried to tell y'all last week. I was like, everybody's been ignoring PSSR. I've been ignoring PSSR. It's the sleeper in the room. Everyone's like, but it's the same CPU. Oh, the GPU is only this much stronger. And I'm like, no, the secret weapon is PSSR. It was like, we all ignored it. Because again, I think it's unfamiliar and untested and unproven, so it makes sense to not pay much attention to it. But it's like, I think PSSR is a secret weapon. I really do. And I remember when I first started learning about upscaling, somebody sent me a video. I think it was Zubair. And it was basically like why upscaling is so important. Because a lot of people, I myself had to be educated on this. You think, well, no, native is the best, right? Native is superior. No, native is a fool's errand, because native just unduly, it's not required. It just creates this tax on the game's performance. It's unnecessarily taxing. It's like, why? Just upscale. You can lower internal upscale, and once the game's in motion, you're not going to be able to tell. Even standing still, it's hard to tell. The video I watched was like 8 years old, and the guy was like, yeah, even standing still, it's hard to tell, and when you move, it's like you can barely tell. Not everyone ignored it. I mean, a lot of people were ignoring PSSR. They were fixating on ray tracing, they were fixating on reflections, they were fixating on GPU, CPU. It's a marginal return for a lot of work. Yeah, exactly. You know, you're making you're like I said, you're unnecessarily taxing the game's performance for something that like you can slightly tell. And even then, with people's televisions and how far they're sitting away from their televisions and how they have everything set up, you know, it's like it's to me really, really bizarre that everybody sort of expected the performance of this thing to only be like a slight bump up when it's like it's brand new technology, like it's untested. You'd have to bring this thing out first before you could actually come to these conclusions that people were coming to. Like when the spec sheet released, I saw people on Twitter just immediately claiming things. I was like, but we don't even know yet. You got to wait and see how all this stuff works. An unspecified RDNA GPU? Don't mean to derail the convo, but apparently Black Ops 6 is PS5 Pro enhanced. It's not. Apparently, it is official. This is the official PlayStation blog announcing more than 50 games. Right here. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. There it is. So this is official. They just published this blog today. We didn't even see this morning in Morning Coffee, or I would have mentioned it in my show open, because like I fixated on the 50. I was like, only 50? I was like, I thought the official list was like higher than that. Well, this is saying at launch. So a lot of the games on the list might not have their patches available at launch. So Black Ops 6 is going to, though. Did you ever think about that? That there's like close to 100 games that are going to be ready. They're going to be ready for the PS5 Pro, but they're not all going to be ready at launch date, like close to 100 games. One of the games that's going to be ready at launch is Black Ops 6. I think that says a lot. I think that communicates that first-party Xbox titles are not going to hesitate to take advantage of the Pro. Like, I don't think Diablo 4 was just like well, it's been out for a while, sure, go ahead. No, I think they're going to tap into this thing every time. Like, the question's going to be, do they announce it? Is it available day one? You know, do they announce it and make it available day one? I don't think Xbox will say a word about it. I think they'll allow PlayStation to say it. They'll allow others to report on it. But that would be the other question is it day one? And people think Microsoft's making a console in 2026. The thing that I would anticipate in 2026 would likely be a handheld. Can't wait for Indiana Jones. I don't think Indiana Jones being PS5 Pro enhanced is that big of like a smoking gun, because it's a staggered release. I think the biggest question is, what about a game like Doom the Dark Ages? Like, Doom the Dark Ages will launch. It'll be day and date on both platforms. The Pro's already been out for a while. Will it be enhanced day one? Eugene said earlier he thinks yes. He thinks it's a marketing mistake to not make something Pro enhanced day one because it'll boost sales. I stopped playing Dragon Age so I can beat it on the Pro. Yeah, I'm trying to finish Dragon Age so I can try out Final Fantasy 16 on the Pro. I'm really hoping FF16 gets enhanced. All Microsoft needs to do is just release a PC for the baseline performance, what the devs need to code for. The only thing I could see Xbox doing in 2026, since there's a lot of like murmurings that they're going to be doing something in 2026, would be a handheld. If they had a handheld plan for next year, we would already know. No, I'm saying 2026, Eugene. Not next year. I don't think they're doing anything next year. I just don't think so. Everybody's been saying Xbox is doing something in 2026. That's what I continue to see. I've seen the thumbnails. I've seen the tweets. I've seen the headlines. You know. So I'm not really sure what the issue is. Unless the rest of the week you play Veilguard for like 8 hours. Well, yeah, I might not have time. That's fine. I'll happily play it on the Pro and enjoy it not being so muddy, because the performance mode is a little muddy. It is. Guys, take a quick second. Double check that you've done the like button. That should be your ritual. Come in, smash the like button, get things going. You can renew your memberships as well. A lot of you guys have memberships. Double check to see if you have a renewal. If you're not on Member Plus, upgrade to Member Plus so you can count towards the goal. And if you prefer to do super chats to support the channel instead, that is now a way for you guys to gift members. Every so many super chats, I will actually add to the total over here. I'll become an audience member. So those are all the best ways to support. Hit that like button, though. That is free to do, and it does help this video find more people. I think we'd know 2026 as well. We'd have leak spec sheet type things. I mean, we had all that stuff from the FTC trial, Eugene. Didn't some of that seem to indicate that they have something cooking? I don't know if it was 2026, though. It did seem, though, that they were potentially working on something. You can't feed a scaler 500p and think it's going to look better than native 4K. I don't know if anybody is saying that. Panda, you can't always create a better than native. It depends on what you feed the scaler. Oh, for sure. Yeah, you guys, there's extremes here. You can't feed like a 200 pixel image to an upscaler and get like some amazing, high resolution image. And a 50 bomb for the super chat target. Thank you so much, Mr. Grimm, for adding to the super chat target. That is so generous. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, see, the problem with that is I know what you were trying to do. Yeah, it just has to be above 5. So it doesn't give you credit for like multiples. I wish that it did. I can't set a dollar amount on a goal like that. It's just try to get X number of super chats. I just set it up to where I can turn back around and add to the count. So, sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe we should do that, though. Maybe it doesn't matter. Tamer with 3 months and a member plus. If AI upscaling didn't exist, would you rather have performance or fidelity? Just asking a question. Oh, always. Always performance. And I'm going to add your membership renewal to the count. Thank you so much. That takes us to 34. Like, always. You should, to me, that's what you should always do. You should always lean towards performance as a developer. Maybe not as a gamer. As a developer, you should always lean towards performance. Because if performance isn't doing a good job, then I can't enjoy all the pretty things that you did. Does that make sense? It's like you see these really, really pretty games. It's like, ooh, the lights and the reflections in the water. And then you start to move and it's like, ugh. Like, what is this? Spice King says, DLSS and FrameGen are great technologies. Don't like when devs overly rely on them, though. I prefer devs actually optimize their game, and then DLSS can be an extra boost. Basically, don't pull a Black Myth Wukong. I've been seeing that concern a lot, Spice King. Right? I've been seeing that concern a lot. And I don't necessarily think that you're going to see, like, console developers do this, and here's why. Okay, here's why. The way that they make most of their money is not going to be from the people that play on the Pro. Okay? Now, I argued today that I think PlayStation is positioning the Pro to be more than just an enthusiast console. It's like they're treating it like a new generation. But there's 60 million people with standard PlayStation 5s. So the last thing you want to do is lean heavily on PSSR and the stronger GPU, and then you give all these people on PS5 like a crappy game. I don't think you're going to see developers do that. Number one, I think they know better. Number two, I don't think PlayStation's going to be okay with the first-party devs doing that. They're going to be like, you can't do that. You can't start... Like what Black Myth Wukong did with with FrameGen, that was like an abuse of the technology. What we're seeing coming out of just first passes with PSSR and what devs are able to do with games that were already in the market is impressive enough that you're having tech outlets sing the praises of this thing. I don't think devs are going to say, well, but I wonder if we just completely and utterly rely on this, that we can take all these shortcuts. Like, I just don't think so. It doesn't stand to reason. These are first passes with existing games, and they're getting amazing results. I don't think you're going to see developers completely break their back and neck and say, well, we're gonna lean on PSSR and we're gonna lean on all this tech, so that way, we can basically be lazy. Like, I've seen a lot of people say that. Somebody came in the other day during a member stream, and he was going on and on about that. That, like, I think upscaling is lame. I think devs rely on it too much. I'll be honest with you. I think people really exaggerate that claim. I see that claimed all of the time. And I feel like it's the exact same dialogue we saw when Gotham Knights came out at 30 FPS. And it was, yep, these consoles just aren't strong enough. Like, one game at 30 FPS was all it took for people to make that claim. And I think a handful of games that are abusing upscaling tech or abusing frame gen, and people are like, yeah, I don't like upscaling and I don't like frame gen and I don't like this because these lazy devs are relying on it. And it's like, I feel like more devs are properly using this technology than abusing it. I think you're taking some bad examples and acting as if it's like demonstrative of the market. Like, yeah, we just keep getting all these games and that's what they do. They just rely. And it's like, I don't think that that's happening to the degree that people keep saying that it's happening. I think you have a handful of games that are doing it, yes. But I don't think it's taking over. And people aren't responding positively to it. All you have to do is look at the games that come out on Steam that don't perform well. They get bad scores, and it affects their sales. It's not like people are doing this successfully and making tons of money. Now, you could look at Black Myth Wukong and you could say, well, commercially, Black Myth Wukong, it, sold incredibly well and made tons of money. That's not going to become an industry standard, because every developer knows you can't necessarily lean on an entire region with a famous story and go basically viral overnight. Like, Black Myth Wukong sold an insane amount of their sales in the Chinese market only. That I'm not taking away from the game's success, but what I'm saying is the average developer knows that's a unique situation. We're not going to be able to get away with that and still sell tons of games. Still sell tons of games. To further the point, I saw a video of a guy playing Monster Hunter Wilds basically saying don't turn on frame gen. It creates all kind of latency and all kind of input delay, which is exactly what I tried to tell people about Black Myth Wukong on the PlayStation 5. I was like, don't tell me it's running smooth. Don't tell me it's running well when it's not. Everyone seems to forget the topic Digital Foundry discussed years ago, that raw resolution just is not as important as it once was, given all the improvements in post-processing that saves performance. I bought Black Myth Wukong. I'm in Europe. That what I was not saying was it only sold there. They sold the massive amount of their purchases in China. I bought it. I'm not oblivious to the fact that people outside of China bought it. What I'm saying is developers with any sense of the global impact of that game's popularity are not going to say, well, Black Myth Wukong got away with it, so we can too. We can just lean on, frame gen, or we can just lean on upscalers and make a very crappy, low performance game. I don't think you're going to see that. I always feel like this is the boogeyman. It's the boogeyman. It's like, oh, yep. This is what's going to happen. They're just going to lean on it. This guy says, I watched a video from this channel yesterday. He was saying that the PS5 Pro is RDNA 1.5 and it does only have 16.7 teraflops as opposed to 33 that was initially leaked. Basically saying there's barely any difference. Anybody else see the video or have thoughts? I've seen the opposite claimed. It's RDNA 3 and will double the T flops. We will need a DF breakdown to know for sure. We're going to need a breakdown to know for sure. D-Batch said it's RDNA 3 and it's going to double the teraflops. That's where the 33 number was coming from. And then you got guys out here claiming, oh, it's RDNA 1.5. Well, first and foremost, you don't know. Nobody knows. Who was saying 33? It only has 45% more CUs. The way D-Batch argued it was that it's RDNA 3 with some RDNA 4, and it does this doubling thing that is where the 33 teraflops number came from. Yo, Sorcerer with 41 months. The only place I trust for all things gaming. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much, Sorcerer. And that gets us to 35. That puts us 15 members away from the next milestone. Every 25, I give 5. And also, guys, every so many super chats, I give 5. If you prefer super chats, I know some of you guys prefer that, so you can put your message in chat. Thank you again to Mr. Grimm for doing a super chat a little bit ago. So we don't know. Paul says, I already explained why it's both 33 teraflops and 16.7. All right, let's see what Paul said. I don't know enough about RDNA and teraflops to commentate. I'm just telling you what I heard. I'm simply relaying to you what I have heard. I don't see your comment, Paul, today. Where did you explain it? Here we go again with the RDNA convo. They've been doing this since 2020. D-Batch is right in his explanation. People have said for a while it's the functional equivalent of 33 T-flops. 16.7 confirmed by Digital Foundry. No, the 16.7 is confirmed. What we're hearing, though, is that RDNA does something that is effectively doubles the teraflops. Again, I don't understand any of this. I'm simply relaying information to you. D-Batch is claiming dual instruction, which would allow 2 processes at once. I'm going to wait for Lisa Sue to explain it. We also have to remember that the PS5 is 10. So 16 is still a jump. I don't know why people are acting like 16 is bad. I think they're acting like 16 is bad because there were leaks that it was going to be 33. The 16 teraflop is base, but RDNA 3 doubles that because it can run 2 threads at the same power. Yeah, that's essentially what D-Batch said. Digital Foundry released an unboxing this morning, and they say PS5 Pro isn't RDNA 3. But it says, according to the spec sheet, it's an, what was it called? An undisclosed RDNA GPU or something like that? How do they know it's not RDNA 3? What did they do to figure that out? Because I thought the spec sheet said that it was undisclosed. I don't think, isn't it like a hybrid? I don't understand how any of this stuff works, by the way. It's just a bunch of, like, gobbledygook to me. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what any of this stuff means. Where'd the 16.7 come from? The spec sheet on the device. The spec sheet of the PS5 Pro has indicated it's 16.7 TF. Like, that's been screenshotted and verified as real. They didn't say that. It just doesn't say specifically. Yeah, the specs just say RDNA. Okay, well, Luke, you have to be careful. Digital Foundry didn't say that it's not RDNA 3. They're just saying, it doesn't say, it just says RDNA. That's exactly what I reported this morning from Insider Gaming. It's like an undisclosed RDNA card. We don't know what kind it is. Eugene says it's a custom RDNA GPU with RDNA 4 features. Undisclosed would be an unannounced branch. Right. And based on what I've heard from both D-Batch and what Eugene is saying in chat right now, it's some weird hybrid. It's like an RDNA 3, but it's got RDNA 4 features. So it's like we can't really tell you what this is because it's not really anything that you can properly label according to all the labels that people are accustomed to using. They need to recover the Concorde lost money. That's just another false narrative that fan fiction writers can continue to trot out. PlayStation was not on the hook for all the money that you're seeing reported. Most of the money that was reported that Firewalk Studios procured as investment was done outside of PlayStation's publishing efforts. PlayStation did not lose $200 million or whatever people are saying, or $400 million. That just simply isn't true. And that has nothing to do with equipment costs, because that's not how budgets of companies this size work. You're just believing fan fiction grifting losers. What Zubair said as well, it's bespoke. Yeah, it's like it's its own thing, so you can't be like, it's an RDNA 3. Well, no, if it's custom, you can't label it that, because that would be confusing. 33 T-flops is at half precision. Remember, the PS4 Pro had rapid pack math at 8.4 T-flops. Same concept. The dual issue has shown known improvements in gaming. NVIDIA introduced it in the 3000 series, says Noah Osborne. So, as a layman, what I'm understanding you saying is doubling it gives you half precision, meaning the results yielded are not that impressive. Like, it's not that great. It sounds impressive because it's like, ooh, it's doubling, but it's not. I'm trying to understand what you're saying as a layman. From the Digital Foundry video. Yeah, that's the spec sheet that's been distributed. That's exactly right. That's the one. Yes. Yeah, the GPU just says it is an RDNA-based graphics engine. So we don't know. So anybody saying it's RDNA 1.5 is simply making things up. They have no confirmation that that's what it is. It means they fool all of us. Same convos from 2020 are popping up again, says Brooklyn. It's weird. RDNA 3.5 or something no other cards will have. Sony is a scam. Okay, can you explain why you think that? Why do you think they're a scam? Like, what are they doing to scam people out of money? T-flops is like gigahertz. Just the number doesn't mean anything. It depends on so much, but the number does measure something specific. At least half of the Concord budget in studio purchase was Sony. Yes, they of course lost money, but they did not lose the money people are claiming they've lost, and they're also not trying to recoup that money lost on the PS5 Pro. That's not how companies like this operate. When anybody says something like that, they're literally just saying, hi, I don't know anything about business or how budgets works, or, I don't know how any of this stuff works. I'm just an idiot. Like, that's what they're saying. Like, why volunteer that you're stupid so often? I don't know why these people do this. I think it's because people that follow them don't know any better. Just regularly admitting they don't understand the basics of how businesses operate. It's like, it's the same people who put Jim Ryan crying on their thumbnails for like 8 months straight. They don't understand business. They just don't. They're ignoramuses. So that's what they do. They just deal in fan fiction. It's like, okay, the adults are going to have different conversations, I guess. Noah says exactly. It has yet to show implementing in gaming 16.7 T-flops at 32 bits instructions, but can calculate two 16-bit instructions at the same time, hence doubling the T-flops. So then it would depend on the game, right? Like running a tensor core at half precision to double the throughput, says Zubair. To clarify, half precision isn't an issue in neural networks and image processing, so leveraging it in this way doesn't suddenly mean it's half as effective with PSSR or DLSS, says Omar. The price goes with the 30% price increase Sony has applied from console to console. Well, that's what I'm saying about this. I think the PS5 Pro is being treated like a new generation. It is not being treated as an enthusiast optional purchase. It's like, no, this is the new PlayStation. Like the way that the Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank trailers hit, it's like people are like, you're just regurgitating marketing BS. Just stop for half a second, okay? Stop wetting yourself over a console. Just listen to what I'm saying. They were given instructions or marketing talking points or things to say. That's true. It's being done to sell the console, but you have to stop and think about the fact that they're doing it in a way that puts down the base console. That is not something you see until you're doing a generation jump. The PS5 was consistently marketed against the PS4. It was marketed against the older hardware. Apple every year markets their new phone against the old phone. I'm not buying into marketing like a fanboy. I'm analyzing the marketing. I'm just analyzing it. And I'm saying, this is what Apple does when they drop a new phone. This is what PlayStation does when they drop a new console, PS4 to PS5. They're talking about the PS5 Pro like it's a PS6. They're talking about it like it's a generation jump. This is our newest console. It's not some optional enthusiast purchase. It's different. The PS4 Pro was not marketed this way. It wasn't marketed as if like, the PS4 is being put down. Ghost in the Garage Gaming says, companies of that size have the ability to write off millions in losses. They stop gaps in place for failed ventures or for project disruptions. Former CFO here. Yes, thank you. Someone who actually, makes an incredible living because of how good they are at business, weighing in on the fact that, like, them shutting that down when they did was literally like he's saying. It was a stopgap. It's like, this is a failed venture. Stop. We can write this off as a loss. We can write this off in the millions if we need to. We don't need to make the money back on the PS5 Pro. You're just buying into fan fiction when you hear people say stuff like that. Tech companies all do this. AMD is saying their new chip is 15% faster than the last generation. You want to sell the new hotness. Right. So here, track with me here. Track with me here, Zubair. Nishida himself told the console is not a new generation product. That has nothing to do with the marketing and what they're saying. Listen to what I'm saying, and listen to what Zubair just said. Okay, just track with the logic here. The co-CEO of the company just said we can crank up tech like this every 3 to 5 years. And he made an analogy to how often phones and PCs do it. He's like, phones and PCs do it once a year. He's like, I don't think we'll ever get to the point that we're doing that. Do you see? Internally, they're viewing this as not like some, oh yeah, it's just this alternate thing over here. It's just a Pro. No. They're viewing it as, yeah, we can do this every couple of years. They're changing their entire strategy right in front of you. I said this morning, it's almost like overlaying scales. Have you ever seen anybody like put together scales on like a dragon sculpture or something, and the scales overlap, right? You have to picture it like that. It's like, here's the PS5, they're overlaying the PS5 Pro on top of it. There's overlap, but this is the new console. They're going to do the same thing with the PS6. It's going to overlay. They're telling you, this is how we're going to treat our hardware going forward. You're going to see iterative jumps every 3 to 5 years. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not buying into marketing. I'm not buying into hype. I'm analyzing what the co-CEO said and how they're positioning this thing. They're positioning this the way a new GPU, a new CPU, a new phone does. That's how they view their hardware now. I think what they're saying is we don't believe in generations anymore. Kind of. They're like, this is it. This is PlayStation. We're just going to, this is it. This is the iPhone. iPhone does an iteration every year, and they downplay last year. PlayStation's telling you every 3 to 5 years you're going to see this. You're going to see us bring something out, and we're going to downplay the last. This is it. This is the new thing. So why should I ever buy a base console ever again? You just ask, why should you ever buy a console ever again? Ask the right question. You just ask, should I ever buy a console ever again? Should you ever buy a cell phone ever again? Should you ever buy a GPU ever again? This is what hardware does. And PlayStation just said, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing. You're not going to sit around and wait 7 to 8 to 9 years to get a new console. No, we're going to be spinning up new tech every 3 to 5. And that's exactly what they did. Right in the middle of 3 to 5 is 4 years, and we're 4 years into the gen, and they're like, yeah, here's our new console. They're calling it a PS5 Pro, but this is the new console. This is the best place to play. Rando question, what is that shirt? This is an old school Nintendo game, Kung Fu. I got this from 80s Tees. Be sure if you ever go to 80stees.com, use code Lono. It still works over there. I need to reach back out to the CEO and say, hey, maybe we should start, doing shirts and activations again, because you guys keep commenting on the shirts from over there. Maybe we should just rotate. I do have some new stuff from Into the AM coming up, but we'll do that when they're doing their big sale. They're going to be doing some cyber sales and stuff like that. And the game I've been playing is called Karate Survivor. Everybody who likes Vampire Survivors, if you can play games on Steam, if you have a Steam Deck, you should get Karate Survivor today. Help that game explode. Help it go viral. Listen, if you guys have connections with big content creators, please tell them to check out Karate Survivor. We need somebody of size to play that game and get that game to take off. It is so stinking good. It's like $5 too. Empower those devs to get that game on the rate. Get that game on the map. Get it on mobile. Get it on Switch. Get it on the consoles. We got to get some big dogs to play that game. There are people who buy a new iPhone every year. Some people wait until the new thing or they decide to upgrade. Now you can do the same with PlayStation. That's exactly right. Basically, Apple proved that the market would bear them being really bullish with their tech. Imagine you buy a phone in, I don't know, April. A couple months later, they come out and they're like, yeah, this one's so much better than that one. Right? Imagine how bullish you have to be to do that. You're downplaying the thing that a bunch of people just recently bought. That's what PlayStation's doing with the Pro. So when you do that, you're taking a risk. You could break consumer confidence. You could break consumer trust. Well, apparently the market has shown Apple can do that. And I believe that PlayStation believes they can do the same thing. Not every year, but I think they believe they can do it every 4. Every 4 to 5. He said 3 to 5. I think it's going to be every 4 to 5. I think every 4 to 5 years, you're going to see them drop a new console. That's what I think. Without PSSR, the Pro would be awful value for the rest of the tech, in my opinion. So without one of the central pieces of technology that's brand new, it would be worthless. I mean, that's a dizzying observation. Yeah, I would agree. That would be like building a really, really strong computer and putting your old GPU in it and being like, well, it's not that impressive because we arbitrarily created a bottleneck. I mean, obviously, yes. Without PSSR, I mean, there's no point in even saying that. That's the central linchpin that gets you all the headroom. They created their own proprietary upscaling tech. Well, without that, it just wouldn't be worth it. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's why I made a video just last week called the PSSR effect. I was like, this is the sleeper in the room. No, people aren't giving this thing enough attention. People aren't paying enough attention to this thing. This is the sleeper. This is how it's all going to function. This is where you get all your headroom. Everybody that fixated on the CPU, what did I tell you guys? I said, everybody's getting ahead of themselves. Everybody's getting ahead of themselves. You're fixating on the CPU. It's the same CPU. It's going to be bottlenecked. GTA 6 is going to run at 30. Sure, Jan. Sure. Did you see the updates to Dragon's Dogma 2? Are you still confident about that? RAM, CPU, GPU upgrades are very limited. The dev from the Dying Light studio said that PSSR becoming standard could be more significant than raw GPU power being increased. A developer that had their hands on this thing is like, yeah, this could be more significant than just raw GPU power increase. You know, these are people that are getting their hands on the thing. And they're like, yeah, this is a game changer right here. This is going to give us so much headroom on all these things we always rub up against. I mean, I think observations like that, they just feel desperate to find something to say about it that's negative. It's like, well, if we rip out one of the central pieces that makes a lot of this awesome stuff possible, it's not very impressive. Yeah, if you take a wheel off of my car, it's not going to go very fast. Right? When you set up pillars in order to support something, taking away a pillar, yeah, it's going to topple over. I know how to build with Legos, you know? It's like... Of course it would be unimpressive without that. Did they say that we will see 120 with PSSR on games or at least higher than 60? So, guys, take a quick second and smash the like button. Let's set our sights on 300 likes. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. We're only about halfway through the talk show, so keep it going. Keep the likes going. Double check if you have renewals. Let's get that member goal going for the week. This week, we will bring back Fright Night with Madam. If you guys can hit the goal. You guys got to hit it, though. You guys loved it the last couple weeks we've done that, and we've got a little bit of ways to go. And the Fright Night game where you can't talk, it's even more fun with my wife, and that's on Friday nights. Did Paul just say the RAM is limited? It has 16 gig just for the devs to use, 2 gigs more, 18 total is a really good place to be. Well, I mean, they have dedicated RAM to the operating system, which I think is a brilliant change. I can't label it anything else than a mid-gen upgrade with the specs shipped. Okay, Paul, you having that opinion is fine. I'm not concerned with, if you want to call it a mid-gen upgrade, call it that. That's fine. I'm telling you how PlayStation is positioning it, right? Your opinion of the tech doesn't matter. I'm analyzing their marketing, their verbiage, and what the co-CEO just said. You can straighten your glasses at me all you want and be like, well, the actual tech inside. No. I'm not that guy. I don't do that. I don't pick apart tech and talk about this stuff. I just told you guys earlier, I was like, I don't know what any of this crap means. I'm doing analysis of what they're saying. Analysis of what they're projecting. The co-CEO projected something. He's communicating something to you. This is what I do. I did the same thing with Xbox. I said, this is what Xbox is communicating. This is where they're taking their brand. the way that PlayStation's projecting where they want to go with hardware, that's what I'm giving you analysis on. I'm here to tell you they have now aligned with CPU, GPU companies, phone companies, and they're like, yeah, we can do the same thing. Longer intervals, but we can do the same thing. He talked about how tech advances faster now. Like, that's their vision for PlayStation going forward. So you have to see why this is such a big shift. You have to see why this is such a big shift. It's not going to be this crazy, like, turn of the rudder gear shift where it's like PS4 and PS5. It's going to be more daisy-chained and more connected. It's like you didn't wait and go from like this iPhone, and then 5 years later, everything was completely different, and maybe you lost some of your stuff. iPhone did what? It daisy-chained itself together so that now it's like you just kind of feel like, no, I just get the latest iPhone. Now, some people wait, obviously. Consumer response is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how the company is positioning their product, how the company is forecasting what they're going to do with their product. That is what I'm giving you guys analysis on. So when people saw me reacting to the Ratchet & Clank trailer in Members, and they thought I was overanalyzing, I was like, no. I was like, I'm looking at the entire picture. The entire canvas is in front of me. So I'm not just looking at a trailer in a vacuum. I'm looking at the trailer, and in the background of my mind, I'm hearing what the co-CEO said. And I'm like, I think they're positioning this so much differently than I anticipated, and as well, they're not doing it the same way as they did the Pro. The PS4 Pro didn't build cartilage between the gens. It was like, yeah, here's some 4K. I mean, it barely bumped performance in games. Barely, with respect to frames per second. So you don't have to believe the marketing. You don't have to believe excitement, hype. You can ignore all of it. But I'm not telling you to be excited. I'm not telling you to buy in. I'm not telling you it's worth purchasing. I've not talked in that way at all this morning. Now, I'm sure that's how I'll be described. You know, that's how people basically frame anybody that speaks in a way they don't agree with. They just false frame you. I'm sure I'll be false framed as some hype train pony. I'm analyzing their marketing and their projections and saying, this is their viewpoint going forward. You don't have to buy it, like it, want it. You don't have to think that they're making a good decision. I'm just saying, this is what they're communicating to me. And this is exactly what I did with Xbox. As Xbox started shifting things around, started using certain phrases, you know, I did this with Phil Spencer. He spoke to Famitsu, then the CFO said what he said, then Phil Spencer spoke to Windows Central, and I gave you analysis. I was like, I think this is what they're doing. They're signaling a change. And I was right. I'm doing the same thing with PlayStation. All I'm doing is just trying to read the tea leaves here, and I'm like, I think this is what PlayStation's doing. I think they're viewing the Pro not as like an enthusiast optional thing. It's like, no, this is our new console. And they're going to position the PlayStation 6 the exact same way. Now that you mention this, I remember reading an article way back during the PS4 days that said Sony was setting the PlayStation up to upgrade more like a phone in the future. Yeah, I think they did interviews where I don't know exactly how they phrased it, Nightfire, but I vaguely remember them sort of predicting. I think that was a prediction where they said, this is where things will end up. It was somebody, I think, that said, yeah, I could envision a world where that's where consoles end up. And I don't know if you're ever going to see consoles quite land in the same place of like, you're buying pieces and parts. I don't think they'll ever be, you know, upgradable. Like, oh, you can increase the RAM of your PlayStation 7. I don't know if we're ever going to get into that world. But I definitely think you're just going to see PlayStation treat their platform in a quicker iterative state. Which, if you think about it, it makes sense, because if they become the Apple of the gaming world, that's what Apple does to maintain dominance. It's like they're always trying to stay ahead by always having the greatest tech. Consoles are going to take longer than a phone. They're not going to be able to do it every year, but he's like, no, we could do it every 3 to 5. You know, imagine the PS6 Pro is a 3-year in gen up. It's like, yeah, we're 3 years in. Here's the PS6 Pro. That defeats the point of the console. You just sell a new version of the console. That's exactly right. You don't need to like take it apart and put pieces in and pull parts out. It's like, no. Yeah, just buy the new one. Yeah. Yeah. So, that's what the PS5 killer video is about. It's like the Pro is a PS5 killer. It's like, yeah, PS5 who? This is it. Holy mackerel. The Call of Duty Black Ops 6 UK sales split per platform. PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 amounts to 74%. Wait a minute. PS5 is 70%. PS4 is 4%. That's just UK. That's just UK physical, right? That doesn't seem right to me. PC is 16%. Xbox is 10%. So Xbox is basically the lowest. That doesn't seem right, though. PS4 should be a lot higher when we globally consider digital and physical, because so many people are still on PS4. That's got to be just because that region and physical sales are trending towards PS5. Globally, the giant in the room for Black Ops 6 sales has got to be the PlayStation 4. It has to be. That's both physical and digital in that market? I want to see global. That's crazy to me, Eugene. That seems contrary to all logic and reason. That seems contrary to all logic and reason. You've got 60 million people on PS5. You have 120 million MAUs on PSN. So almost nobody on PS4 bought Black Ops 6? And they all bought it on PS5? I don't understand that. Are they all... Is Black Ops making people upgrade? I don't buy that. I mean, I know they're stats, they're facts. It's not. They're not trying to sell anything to me. That feels backwards. UK only. Yeah, I want to see global. PS4 has to be more dominant when you consider the global the global numbers. 4% on PS4? They just played free-to-play games. I mean, the number of people on PS4 playing Warzone is pretty high, is it not? Wouldn't they have a vested interest in buying Black Ops 6? UK is Xbox's second largest market. Was it bundled with PlayStation 5 consoles? Was it? I don't think so. I'm not seeing one. I'm seeing people selling. I'm seeing like aftermarket do it. Like they're selling it bundled. Like Walmart maybe. Yeah, Walmart has it bundled, but I think that's literally them grabbing both boxes and selling it to you. I think that's just Walmart literally saying, hey, we have Black Ops 6, come in and get it along with the PS5. It's not a bundle. Like, it's not on the box. Like, they literally grab a PlayStation 5 and then they grab the jewel case for Black Ops and sell it to you for $570. It's not a bundle. I'm not seeing any bundles out here. What's the Black Ops 6 performance on the PS4? I have no idea. Sony killing the PS5 with the Pro is not smart. People will just go to the cheaper system. Well, gaming for days. You have to understand when I say what I'm saying, I'm not being literal. Right? I'm not being literal. They're not killing the PS5. The PS5 will be supported all the way until 2030. They will not stop shipping first-party games to the PS4. I'm sorry. They will not stop shipping first-party games to the PS5 until after 2030. The same that they did with the PS4. They gave you 10 years of support. The PS4 came out in 2013, and when 2023 rolled around, they were like, Spider-Man 2 isn't showing up. You got 10 years. We're done now. There's been a dip of a number of Americans playing video games since the end of the pandemic lockdowns, most significantly among kids 2 to 12, according to research. What has increased for those kids is watching gaming videos and streams. Well, that's great for me, except I don't appeal to that age demographic of 2 to 12. The reason that the age demographic of 2 to 12 has decreased in playing video games is because a lot of them aren't at home anymore, like, because of school. Like, that's not difficult to figure out why that number has gone down. Everybody was stuck at home, so kids were finishing their schoolwork and booting up video games. Like, that is sort of not difficult to figure out. Like, that number is not alarming. You have to consider, like, what happened from, like, a sociological standpoint of, like, nobody was going anywhere. So, yeah, kids 2 to 12 were at home at a higher percentage than they were historically, and so they were playing video games. Kids play games at 2? Yeah. Yeah, there's all these weird... They're terrible for your kids. Don't let them do it. They are terrible for your kids. But there's, like, iPad games for babies. And all the research shows that you should not be letting anybody under the age of, like, 13 look at screens for any period of time. If you're going to let them look at it, you know, from, like, 5 to 10, you really need to limit it. It's so bad for their brains. There was research into, like, understimulated brains of children in orphanages where they don't get picked up, talked to, and they don't get interacted with, right? So their brains underdevelop. You can actually have the opposite problem. So a small amount of stimulation can underdevelop a brain. Overstimulation can also harm the development of a brain. So you got to be real careful with that stuff. And yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, though, if, like, during the pandemic, like, way more kids were playing. They were stuck at home. Not sure if it's 100% official. Black Ops 6, we're seeing in UK retail plus digital 368, or what are these units? 368,000. 257,000, 70%, 4%. It's the PS4 number that's throwing me off. The Xbox drop off is massive. Yeah, so, like, if this is to be believed about Call of Duty sales, this is pretty significant. So, MW2, you saw a 32% in the UK retail and digital on Xbox. 32% of the sales were on Xbox. Then Modern Warfare 3, it was 26%. Black Ops 6 is off to a terrible start for Xbox, only 10%. I think what this represents, especially if you look at the PS5 is 42, 45, and then it jumps to 70%. I can't do anything but think that this is just drainage. Drainage. If I have a milkshake. Like, that's what this is. You cut this in half, and then this spikes that much as far as a percentage? I mean, for goodness sakes, if this is for the same window of time, especially, I mean, 257 versus 285 for Modern Warfare 2. That's drainage if I've ever seen it. It's like Xbox drops and PlayStation 5 goes up. Oh yeah, Game Pass as well. But Game Pass, Reckless Gambit, doesn't account for the fact that PlayStation 5 went up. Game Pass accounts for Xbox going down. What accounts for PS5 going up by that amount? I think people have moved. Yeah, Ala Park, that's true too. Hang on. That's true. Let's not ignore the fact that PS4 went from 15 to 12 to 4. Okay, those are smaller moves though. It went down by 3%, then it went down by 8%. All right, Xbox went down from 32 to 26. From 26, it went down by 16%. It went down by double. So I believe it's both. I think it's both and. I think it's both PS4 users have jumped up, and also Xbox has jumped up. PC is up from here, 10%, MW2, it's up to 16. So yeah, PC. I wonder if a lot of people went to PC because Game Pass is cheaper on PC for day and date. I wonder if there's a, well, no, this is purchases. Never mind. That wouldn't count. Yeah, I think PS5 adoption and conversion has gone up from PS4. But I also think you're getting people to jump from Xbox. I think it's both. Less total sales numbers too. Yeah, but I don't know what window of time frame these are. Black Ops 6 was allegedly setting records for them, or were they only comparing it to MW3? What's the window of time here, Paul? This image that you sent me, is this Modern Warfare 2's opening week? Like, if this is the same window of time, MW2 kicked the dog snot out of Black Ops 6. Is this the same window of time, Paul? Because they kept talking about how Black Ops 6 did so much better. It's lower than MW3 and MW2. What are the time frames up here? What's the window? Black Ops 6 is like setting all these records. What are these? Is this just in the UK? So is it selling less in the UK for some reason? Oh, you're right. UK first week. Thank you. I can read. It says first week. They're only talking about people and hours play setting records. They didn't say anything about sales or revenue. So wait. What? So I don't understand. Did I misread all the headlines? I thought Black Ops 6 was absolutely blowing the doors off of everything. That's what the headlines all seem to indicate. The real article states that it dropped 67%. I have a theory that the PC versus the PS5 Pro argument is basically fighting over the crumbling Xbox market share. As the Xbox console share drops, the PC and PS5 market share increases. Black Ops 6 might have overperformed in the US while underperforming in the UK. Satya never said sales. They lost all their Xbox sales. Yeah, I mean, MW2 went from 2... I mean, look at the drop. Look at the drop for the first week on Xbox. 220, and it dropped to 37. Jiminy Christmas, that's a third. I told you guys last week, it's not as simple. I said this, did I not? I said, listen... Yes, you got a bunch of new Game Pass subscribers, but it's not that simple. In the UK market, their second largest market, they went from 220 units, 32% of the overall sales of MW2. They dropped to 10%, 1/3 of what they got last time, 37. That's a huge drop. And you better hope all those people stay on Game Pass, because it's quite a bit cheaper than buying the game for $70. The article above says sales. Yeah, VentureBeat, let's look at this. Because maybe UK is anomalous to what everybody else is doing. Hang on a minute. This just doesn't seem right. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is the biggest release in history. Satya Nadella says... Last week's launch for Black Ops 6 was the biggest Call of Duty release ever, setting a record for day one players as well as Game Pass subscriber add-ons launch day. Unit sales on PlayStation and Steam were also up over 60%. So whenever he mentions sales, he mentions PlayStation and Steam. So they're up 60%. Okay, go away. Thank you to our players for making Black Ops 6 the biggest Call of Duty launch ever. Our goal from the start was to bring you a great game. It's an amazing game. This is only the beginning. Okay, fluff. Wait, did that say 60% year over year? Oh my gosh. Unit sales on PlayStation and Steam are up 60% year over year. Of course it's up year over year. MW3 did terribly. It performed terribly. People are ignoring all the people that were already on Game Pass that would have bought COD anyways, and now they have no reason to. Microsoft is losing so much. It was just a dumb decision. So, oh my gosh. I did a bad job. I fell for the nonsense. I fell for it. I didn't read critically last week. I thought, oh, it's crushing. It's crushing. It's up 60% on Steam and PlayStation year over year. Yes, you're comparing Black Ops 6 with MW3. This article saying it had its biggest 3-day opening sales in 20-plus year history of the franchise, Microsoft announced. We need to see the numbers on this, bro. This is all sounds like we're playing smoke and mirrors. You skipped over the most important part? No, I didn't. That's not a direct quote. I went to direct quotes. I don't care about their dumb summary. I want a direct quote. That's not the best part of it. That's just some stupid summary. These articles always falsely summarize stuff. Like when IGN said that PlayStation 5 was entering its latter stage when it was latter half. They misquote Sony and no one calls them on it. I don't care what these articles. I don't care about their summaries. I want direct quotes from Satya, from Microsoft. I don't need VentureBeat's summary. Saying that they had their biggest 3-day opening sales in the 20-year history, and then Satya is saying it was up 60% year over year compared to MW3. MW3 was performed terribly in comparison to, like, if you go back and you look at that image we were looking at, look at the difference. Look at the difference in their opening week sales in UK, right? 679 to 433. That's an enormous drop. That's an enormous drop. And in this market, it dropped again. US must have carried it. The US market must have carried it to make it go up above MW3. The multiplayer is embarrassingly bad, but zombies is fun. Yeah, when Xbox start talking about sales and numbers and records, you've got to be so much more critical. I did a bad job last week. I was like, oh yeah, wow, they're up. They're crushing it. They're breaking records. Now, I knew it was going to get the most Game Pass subscribers in a single day. I knew it was going to steal that from Starfield, and I didn't think that was necessarily a record that you would want to celebrate. It's not necessarily a record that you want to celebrate, because that is that's a lot of people not buying the game. All right, what do you got here for me, Omar? What's this? Per data released by Xbox over Wednesday, Black Ops 6 was the biggest Call of Duty 3-day opening weekend ever in terms of total players, hours played, and total matches. That's the facts. So their big 3-day opening, see, this is why I don't want VentureBeat's summary. They say it's the biggest 3-day opening sales, but then here they announced that Black Ops 6 was the biggest Call of Duty 3-day opening in terms of total players, hours played, total matches. However, they did not disclose specific numbers for Black Ops 6 metrics or comparable figures for previous Call of Duty games. Oh my gosh. Xbox is making money. Future is Xbox. When you say future is Xbox, as you've just continued to say things this morning that aren't true, one of the last brave people to come in here and bang on a green drum and push out fan fiction. What do you mean that the future is Xbox? In what capacity? Does anybody say the future is EA or the future is Ubisoft? Those are just game companies who put their games everywhere. That's where Xbox is headed. Like, why do you care that Xbox is going to be utilized as a publishing arm of Microsoft so that Microsoft can make a ton of money? Why does that matter to you? That's what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing people brag about the revenue that Microsoft is going to get. Okay, why do you care about that? Do you brag and get excited about EA's financial reporting or Tencent? What are we doing? Why aren't you celebrating the games and their quality? Who cares how much money they made? Now, I'll celebrate a game doing well financially if I like it, because I'm like, they're going to reinvest. We're going to get more games. So if that's what you're doing, then I agree with you. If you're like, oh, Black Ops 6 doing so well, that's good for the future of Call of Duty. Okay, that's fine. bragging about them making more money than PlayStation doesn't sound like you're worried about reinvestment, reinvigoration, or studio growth. It sounds like you're doing a measuring contest. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, when I see a game that I really enjoy top the sales charts, like when Astrobot did really well and everybody said it wasn't going to do well, I celebrate that. Why? It means we'll get more games like that. That's good. That tells PlayStation that Astrobot is a worthy IP. We'll get more. The studio will be handsomely rewarded with potential reinvestment, growth, hiring. Do you see? Just being like, oh, well, Microsoft is going to make more money than Sony. Who gives a frick about that? I don't watch financial reports to brag about who's making the most money. I watch financial reports to figure out where's everything going. Like when a CFO says something or when a CEO says something. Reforge roast in the break room. Oh, you put Reforge roast in the break room? Every publisher makes good games. Yeah. Some have better track records than others, James. We'll see. Black Ops was OG Activision. Let's see what Microsoft COD looks like in the next 2 years. This guy says it's all Xbox fanboys have. We're playing the numbers game, not realizing the lion's share of earnings of Microsoft games are likely coming from PlayStation Mobile and PC. Ghost in the Garage Gaming. The narrative about how much money Microsoft is making always amused me. I always make it a point to ask them, how much does that benefit them as individuals? New games, consoles, peripherals, hardware? Those are good pictures, Fuzzy. Like, yeah, Ghost. I only ever care about a game selling well because that means I'll get more of that game. It's like, hey, this game sold really well. Oh, that means we're probably going to get more of this game. Like I've always said, that I want studios and publishers to make buckets of cash because then they're going to reinvest in the things that I like. I don't like penny pincher gamers. I don't like people who seethe and mauled over $70 price points. I don't like any of that. I do not like people who come into this hobby and they're cheap. I don't. That's not what this hobby is about. This hobby is about value transmission. And if I'm getting value transmission and I'm getting quality, I'm happy to pay for that. That's not the same as saying, well, this company's making more money than this company. Ha ha, we win. Win what? Are you a shareholder? Do you see? There's different ways to do analysis of sales. Like you can do analysis of sales and be genuinely excited that like if Stalker 2 does incredibly well financially and be like, that's great for that studio. That's great for that studio. We want to see studios like that celebrated and we want to see them being successful. But being like, this studio made more money than that studio and this platform made more money than that platform. Like who gives a frick? I don't care about that. It doesn't mean anything to me. And here's the real kicker. Let me just grant your point. Microsoft's going to make more money in gaming than, PlayStation or Nintendo because they own Minecraft and Candy Crush and they own Call of Duty. I'll grant you that point. What's that going to do for you as an Xbox fan? What's it going to do for you? Do you think they're going to see those financial results and invest in exclusives? Do you think they're going to invest in hardware? What do you think they're going to say in response to all that money? What are they going to say? Well, let's keep doing that. What's the antecedent to that? What's that referring to? Let's keep doing that. What? Publish our games everywhere. It doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't. It doesn't do a thing for you. When Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West explode in popularity and sell really well, and Guerrilla Games gets to hire more people and invest in the property and make more games and partner with other companies to do multiplayer games and even there's going to be a third single-player game with Aloy, right? That benefits me. Why? I like the first game. I like the second game. I'm going to get more Horizon. This is great. And the games come out at quality because they're built for one box. Do you see? You can analyze the sales and the success of something and be genuinely concerned with what it means for the consumer. I got a great, well-polished, awesome, beautiful-looking Horizon Forbidden West, and then I got Burning Shores, which was even better looking because it was made for PS5 only. I got that because Horizon Zero Dawn was financially successful. It did very, very well as a breakout title. That benefits me. But if I go out here and be like, well, this game sold more than that game, like that, who cares about that? It's about what does it mean for me as a consumer. Did I miss a re-up or something? I feel like I missed a re-up. I did not. And a $7 super chat from Susan. The thing about these numbers is they include at least 4 Call of Duties. This isn't a separate Black Ops 6 launcher, so of course this is the best Call of Duty. 4 games. What? The thing about these numbers is they include the last 4 CODs. This isn't a separate Black Ops 6 launcher, so of course this is the best Call of Duty. Wait. Do you think... Thank you, Susan. By the way, guys, the super chat goal at the top expires in 8.5 minutes. If we get 7 more super chats, I add 5 members to the goal. It only needs to be a $5 super chat. I know people prefer super chatting over gifting members, so I'll gift the members as a way to celebrate you guys doing super chat. So thank you, Susan. Got us a little bit closer. Time's running out. I'll just reset it and we can run it again, but sometimes you guys like to scramble to get the confetti. Victory with 16 months says, cheap gamers have options, but they shame gamers who don't want to be cheap. That's the problem. They think we hurt their bargain gaming somehow. Welcome back in, Victory. I totally agree with you about the sales number, says Lamar. It doesn't matter who sold more. Right. It's not about who sold more. It's about something selling well, creating a feedback loop of benefiting you. And a gifted member from Jazster, he says, come on, boys, let's get that goal moving. When it hits 50, I'll give 5 to you guys. So keep the members going. Celebrate those renewals. Gift a few. I'm 34, for example. If they're counting people for Black Ops 6's launch, and they're counting people who are just inside Call of Duty, oh my gosh. Remember MW2 and MW3 had early access, so the player count was spread out over a week. Black Ops 6, everyone played on the same day, so it technically would have a higher day one player count. Yeah, I forgot about the early access. Xbox doesn't charge for a remaster. What game did they remaster and give you for free? What game? Artyom Limbu. What Xbox game has been remastered and given to you for free? Which game? Come on. Should be easy to type. They said Black Ops 6 though. These companies, why even remotely believe what they say? Ghost in the Garage Gaming says, I was ridiculed for buying 3 PS5 Pros and a guy said wasted my money. I responded, I drive an Aston Martin and daily drive as a daily driver. Yeah, tell him, Ghost. Sometimes you got to put it on the table. Victory with a $5 super chat tip. Also, a $200 difference sounds about right to me. If it were only a $100 difference, would the upgrade be as significant? All right, the super chat goal continues to move along. 4 out of 10. Thank you, Victory. There's 6 minutes left. You can't type something that doesn't exist. I love Jez parody. Wait, is somebody in here on a parody account? I don't like parody accounts. What do you... is somebody actually in here? I don't want anybody in here impersonating somebody else. I don't like that. Y'all haven't already blocked that dude? Halo with Unreal coming, don't worry. Okay, I just want to track the argument. Let's just track the argument. So, Xbox doesn't charge for remasters, and I ask you, what's a game they've remastered and didn't charge you money for? Instead of answering that question, you instead say, Halo is coming in Unreal. Yo, Jazzer gifts a member. It goes to Detective Seeds. Let's see if he gets a little ping, a little chingering. Keep him coming, boys. Help out Jazzer. Get to the next milestone on the gifteds. Well, I'm now dumber, says Zubair. Yeah, I'm just trying to track your argument. I don't understand what you're saying. Listen, I've said this a lot lately, and I'm going to say it again. Okay? Life is Strange. I don't think Xbox remastered that, did they? I think that was just a free update, and it didn't really do anything. It seemed like they just upped the contrast. Remember the comparison video? It was super strange. It didn't look like they had increased resolution or anything. It was like a contrast pass. It was super awkward. Anyways, I've said this a lot lately. You are totally allowed to love Xbox. You're totally allowed to be super committed to them. You still play and you still value Game Pass. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. All I've ever asked people to do is just tell the truth. Don't say things that aren't true. Don't say things that are completely made up and fabricated. Fan fiction is for fanboys. It's not for good thinking people. Right? Now, I'm not saying that about actual fan fiction. Like, I know people write actual fan fiction for, like, Star Wars and stuff that they love, right? Let me rephrase that. Console fan fiction is for fanboys. Leave it at the door. We're not interested in that. I don't care what cobbled together weird fan fiction that you're coming to the table with from the latest Copium podcast that you watched. I'm not interested in fan fiction. I'm not. Even the way people constantly misrepresent me and try to make it seem as that like I sit here and lie and misrepresent Xbox, they're doing the same thing. They're liars. They're just writing fan fiction about me. Not a single one of them has ever dealt with me honestly. It's always cherry-picked, misframed, disingenuous, or there's no room for a mistake. Like, I make the mistake of forgetting that, like, MW3 hit Game Pass, and that gets me labeled a liar. Because everybody really gave a frick about that game hitting Game Pass. As you were considering and promised and thinking that you were going to get, like, all of Call of Duty's greatest hits on Game Pass, and you got their latest repackaged DLC slop thrown on Game Pass. You got me. You got me. I'm a liar because I forgot about MW3 hitting Game Pass. Like, keep your fan fiction at the door. If you want to come in and cheer for Xbox, do it. But just do it honestly. Who remembers MW3 on Game Pass? Spice King, we had like almost 600 people watching me at the time, and nobody corrected me because everybody forgot. It was like they were announcing that like MW3 and Warzone was coming to xCloud, and I just got confused. I was like, okay, these are coming to xCloud as well as Game Pass, and then this one's coming to Game Pass. This will be the first Call of Duty to come to Game Pass. It was just like a mistake I said in passing, and it gets framed as he's a liar. He lies about Xbox. Like, that's how pathetic these people are. They're pathetic. It's like, dude, just come in and engage as a fan. Just leave your fan fiction at the door. You don't have to get so mad that, like, some of us have moved on from the platform. It's not that big of a deal. It isn't that big of a deal. You'd probably be happier if you just put down your axe that you're grinding and just embrace games instead of, like, being worried about what somebody said about your precious brand. You're not gaining any traction. A lot of these people, a lot of these podcasters, Twitter users, a lot of these YouTubers, they're spinning their wheels in mud. There's no traction with what you're doing. It's not compelling. It's not interesting. It's the same thing over and over and over again. We got all this information coming out. We got new commercials coming out. We got specs coming out, new games, all these things to analyze, break down, and think about. And you're still worried about calling somebody a name because they said something that you didn't like. You know what I mean? When I became a man, I put away childish things. And I think a lot of these people need to do the same thing. We could have really productive, really enjoyable dialogue and contrast of opinions if people would just relax a little bit and stop peddling in fan fiction. Some fanboys need to use other platforms, for example, PS5 or PC. They will finally see that Xbox is boring and not interested anymore. Well, I mean, babe, stop it. My wife's texting me in response to things I'm saying. She's texting me innuendos. All hail Halo on the Unreal Engine. Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been cheering for that. Yo, Jazster does it again. He pokes the member line one more time, and he gives it to the newly married Javier Cotto. We don't know if Javier is here today, but congrats again to Javier. James says, real OG gamers got jobs and don't have time to game on everything anymore. James, you are totally right. So let me ask you something. If Xbox is going to start putting all of their games day and date on PC and PlayStation, don't you see what's happening? Like, it's like in those old Looney Tunes cartoons where Wile E. Coyote would run off the cliff, and for a second, he's standing there, but then he realizes that there's nothing beneath his feet. And down he goes. I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing. They ran so hard and went so hard for Xbox that now they're standing on nothing. And it's like they're starting to realize there's nothing beneath my feet. There's no reason to be loyal to this console anymore. Your best bet, and this is why I had somebody yelling at me and mauling on Twitter saying that I keep trying to claim that the PS5 Pro is better than PC. No. I've consistently said the PS5 Pro is an amazing value point, and it's better than all of the lying PC experts who are telling you you can build a PC for $700 that's equal to it in power. Like, you're worried about me lying. Why don't you ask these guys who claim that to put their money where their mouth is, build their $700 rigs, and do comparisons? Yeah, do it. They're not going to, right? I've always said your best bang for your buck right now is PC or PlayStation. I've never once pitted them against each other. You assume I pit them against each other because dishonest grifters tell you that that's what I'm doing. I've consistently said when people have come in here, I'm like, go to PC. PC's amazing value. If you don't mind waiting for PlayStation games to get ported, you can build a really nice rig. There are so many games in Steam. Every day, I'm putting games on your wish list and your radar, and a ton of them are Steam only. You really think I'm doing that if I'm acting like PC's not worth it and PlayStation's so much better than PC? Then why am I playing games on my PC? Why am I recommending PC to people that are considering switching right now? Why am I doing that if I'm like, oh, he's trying to pit PlayStation against PC? No, I'm not. The best bang for your buck right now is either PC or PlayStation. And yeah, throw the Nintendo Switch in there as well, especially when the Switch 2 comes out. And a gifted member from Victory bumps the line to 39. Thank you so much, Victory. And a 7 spot from Susan. Oh, we need to reset the goal. Hang on. I'm going to count yours as a 5. We only need 5 more Super Chats. And Lono, let's just do this. I will gift 5 members. We'll start another one. You guys got 30 minutes, and I'm adding Susan's in, so it's only 5 more instead of 6 more. Xbox, thank you for the $7 super chat tip, Susan. Xbox charged for Quake 1 and 2 Remaster, Master Chief Collection, Age of Empire 2, GoldenEye. Xbox doesn't charge for patches, and neither does PlayStation. The remaster is an optional native version. Well, there you go. So, like I said, leave your fan fiction at the door. Susan went and did some research and found remasters that they have charged money for. So, there you go. Companies charge for remasters. Welcome to the real world. I played every PlayStation. I'll get a PC because PlayStation are going the same route, and I can use the best controller, the Xbox Elite. I loved my Elites until they kept breaking on me and bumpers kept going bad. And I said you were lying. I like the console war banter. I don't care what anyone says. James, I didn't accuse you of telling me that I was lying. I never once even intimated that you were saying that. I was saying, if you listened, I said there was somebody on Twitter who said that. He said that I'm in here trying to convince people that PlayStation's better than PC. I have never once said that. I've made qualified statements and said, dude, for $700, a PS5 Pro is going to be able to do way more than PCs in that threshold. If that's what you're looking at doing, this could be a great option for you. And I said to somebody the other day, I said, that's better for you, because he said, yeah, I would rather spend $700 or maybe a little bit more and upgrade my PC. And he has this huge Steam library. And I said, the interesting thing there is value is subjective. It's more valuable for you to spend $1,000 upgrading your existing PC than it is for me. So I get more value out of $700 on a Pro because we're different consumers. So I've never once tried to be like, oh yeah, PlayStation 5 is so much better than PC. Some of these PC Master Race guys, they're so insecure. It's like you can't pay anything a compliment over PC. They get their fifis hurt. You know what I'm saying? They wet themselves and then they got to make a video. It's like, dude, it's just a different option in the market. That's all it is. It's just a different way of playing, and everybody's different. Your value may get way more bang for your buck. You could spend more money than me upgrading your PC, and you get more value than I would. Seriously. You could spend more money than me and upgrade your PC and get more value than I would if I did it. 2025 is all for Xbox. Good. I hope that you enjoy 2025 and Xbox gives you everything that you're hoping for. This guy says, ray tracing has ruined gaming. Instead of story DLCs, we're getting better ray tracing. I mean, people can continue to false frame ray tracing. Ray tracing is quite literally part of the future of game development because of what it does for developers and automation and what it does for lighting and reflections and quality. People just don't know what they're talking about. I didn't know what I was talking about. I thought ray tracing was a gimmick. I thought it was a resource hog gimmick. You know, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was a resource hog gimmick. And then I did some research and I was like, oh no, yeah, this is the future. This is what every developer is going to want to use because of what it affords them and how it makes the games look and what it does for development. Joker Quinn with a $5 super chat says, yo, it's my birthday week too, brother. My Pro will be on said day, Thursday. Yo, it's my birthday week as well. Thank you so much for that super chat. Let's get some birthday hype in the chat for me and my man Joker Quinn. Thank you, Joker Quinn. Guys, we've got probably 30 minutes left in the show, roughly. You're going to want to be to 100 members to stay on pace for the week. We'll do another Fright Night with Madam. You didn't get her last week. We'll bring her on the show this week. So thank you so much for being here. And happy birthday. Thank you, Susan. And those of you that like super chatting, we now have this new feature. YouTube gave us a feature early. You'll see that little gold bullseye at the top. You can contribute to that. And then I'll gift members. Pastor Joe said that the ray tracing on the Pro for GT7 is worse than Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Motorsport, even though Digital Foundry said the exact opposite. I mean, my bad, my stream's a little bit choppy. No, you're good, James. You're good. I have always tried to tell people, go where you feel you get the best value. If somebody came in here today and told me they get the best value out of Nintendo Switch and then they play mobile games on their iPad, I'd be like, awesome. Your birthday's Saturday? My birthday's Saturday. I'll be 43. You'll be 36? Well, there you go. I've always said that. I've always been like, dude, go wherever you feel like you get the most value. Just don't lie. Don't lie to people. If you want to build a $700 PC, do it. Just don't lie to people. If you want to build a $1,400 PC, go ahead. Minch Tree with the VIP sets it up at 40 members. Maybe we'll get a 10 bomb to 50. We'll see, Minch Tree, if you can bait anybody. 38 months of members. They push to build a PC that is more expensive and not as powerful as the Pro. Seems like certain creators are trying to keep people in the Xbox ecosystem as opposed to telling the truth about the Pro. Seems that way. And Harbinger will make that 10 bomb an Agent of Chaos. We're at 41 now. Thank you so much, Harbinger. 1 second here. And another Member Plus renewal comes in from Vendetta. 3.5 years going. Thank you so much, Vendetta. 43 months. Love the content. Work and lurk. Well, thank you for that. Work and lurk. And that takes us to 42. This is a speculative base list I'm setting up for my PC. You probably are. I'm just assuming wanting something similar in terms of best performance. Yeah. We got a long ways to go, though, before I'm going to start scoping out a PC build. We want to see 1,000 people at Member Plus and above, and the upgrades have just come to a screeching halt. So if you guys have a gifted membership or you're paying for your own membership, double check that you're on Member Plus. It's $6 instead of $5. And we want to hit 600. That's the next milestone. We're currently in the 550s. We just stopped in the 550s. And that's like the single most important thing that we're working on is gifted members are amazing, but we really need to see more and more people picking up that membership on their own. It makes room for new folks. You know, they're also changing it. Getting a gifted member every month's getting harder and harder. They're making it so it spreads out who gets gifted more often than not. So you're going to want to see... if you're going to want to get into all that extra content, as well as just supporting the channel directly. A lot of people have made it very clear they're not interested in the extra content. They just want to support the channel, and that's amazing. The best way to do that is to be here every day, hit like, hit subscribe, and then when you want to go above and beyond that, Member Plus is the thing to pick. I wouldn't call PC the Xbox ecosystem. Well, more than likely, yeah. What Minstree is saying is you're going to see people... I've seen people claim this. They basically claim that Steam is Xbox because it's on Microsoft Windows. And it's like that scene where Star-Lord says, you know... that if we're 50% dumb, that's 100% you. And Tony Stark's like, your math is blowing my mind right now. And a 5-bomb from Vendetta, getting us closer to being on pace for a nice, strong Monday. We're at 47 members on the day. I'll owe you guys at 50. Thank you for doing that, Vendetta. And thank you to all the super chatters today as well. But, yeah, like, your math is blowing my mind right now. Like, I don't know if Minstree was saying that. I think Minstree is saying that's the perspective of the people that are doing this. It's like, if we can... Really what it is, I don't even know if it's if they view it... I think a lot of them don't necessarily view PC as the Xbox ecosystem. Like, Xbox fanboys certainly do that. They'll try to claim, you know, that Steam is Windows or whatever. And then Microsoft gets credit for that. I think what a lot of them are is they're anti-Sony. They don't want to see Sony seen as like a legitimate player in the tech world. They don't want Sony seen as something that could actually hold its own against PC. They don't want to see that. So they, you know, so they're basically driving this narrative of like, well, no, yeah, we're there's no reason to go over there. It's a joke. It's not as strong. You could build something, excuse me. You could build something stronger for the same amount of money. And to me, I just think it's obvious when someone is telling the truth because they use just like calm, basic facts. They just kind of walk through what everything would look like and what the price would be. Tenor Dude bumps the line to 48. Thank you for that Member Plus renewal. You know, they're just more factual about it. I think it's just easy to see the people that are dealing in fan fiction because they immediately jump to either hyperbole or they're yelling. Like, I couldn't believe the number of people that when it came to the Pro, their content was like, I think they thought if I raise my voice, that's a compelling argument. You know what I mean? If I raise my voice, well, that's a compelling argument. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it's not, but... Sony all plan leaks to 2030. I mean, RDM, I've tried to be like nice today, but like I don't know how to engage. I don't know how to engage with someone who's not saying anything. You're just saying almost like a bumper sticker. It's almost like interacting with a bot. Yo, TaylorMade says big love. Puts us right on the doorstep of 50. That's 49. Thank you so much. I don't know how to interact with you. I don't feel like you're here to have a conversation. I just feel like you're here, you're just like a bot. Like you're just saying the same, you're just saying nothing. You're just saying bumper sticker statements that don't mean anything. Sony all plans leaked all the way to 2030. Where? What are you talking about? Blades 2030? Who told you that? So they announced a game in 2023 that's not coming for 7 years? Or are you saying PlayStation won't get it until then? Like, where are you getting this information? To me, I think the problem with someone like you is that you're only saying the things for the reaction. You're not actually here to have a back and forth. A back and forth would consist of like actually saying something and then responding to what we're saying. You know, instead of being just almost like dealing in. And Sneaky Wolf lands the plane with a single gifted and gets us to 50. And I'm 50. All right, I owe you guys 5 members. We need 4 more super chats, and I'll owe you 5 more. The super chat ones, by the way, I add to this list. My members don't hit this list because I'm doing it as a response. But you super chatters can add to the list. Thank you so much for super chatting today. There was a handful of you. There's 6 of you already today that's done it. Hang on a second. Okay. That gave me crisp brain rot. Yeah. It's starting to look like everyone but Nintendo is putting their games everywhere. Makes sense, really, when you think about it? No, it doesn't, because what you just said is not true, James. I don't know why people like you continue to say things that just aren't true. We've been through this 10 times this morning, okay? So, here we go. Is PlayStation putting their games everywhere? No, they are not. They're not putting their games on Xbox. They told their shareholders this year that they will not be going day and date with their big narrative-driven tentpole titles. They come to PC later. That is quite literally not what Xbox is doing. Nobody's plan is the same. So saying everybody but Nintendo is putting their games everywhere, why say something like that that can be falsified in 10 seconds? I falsified what you said. Why waste time? We have so limited time every day, and you just wasted some of those precious seconds saying something that isn't true. Why? Why? Xbox went with the strategy of day and date on PC. PlayStation's not doing that. They're not. They signaled to their shareholders, we are not doing that. Also, they're not going to put their games on Xbox. Remember the Helldivers rumor? The guy that said that he heard it might be? He's like, yeah, that's not happening. So that got shot down in flames. Like, why waste the precious seconds you have in the day just saying stuff that isn't true? Xbox went multi-plat day and date with PC years ago. Now they're going multi-plat day and date, or at least porting to the other consoles. To PlayStation and Nintendo. PlayStation is not mimicking that strategy. They aren't. Yeah, they're going day and date with their live service games. We knew that like 3 or 4 years ago. Herman Hulst did an interview like 3 years ago where he said that live service games would be multi-plat releases. The reason that they said that is because that's the best strategy with live service, is to put them on multiple platforms. So this is one of the beauties of the market, and this is why I don't like it being glossed over. Nintendo has their strategy completely different than everybody else's. They're going to be doing another handheld, as far as what we can tell from all hardware reports and all rumors. We're getting a Nintendo Switch 2. PlayStation is positioning themselves as the console tech leader. They're going to have the strongest console every single time. I don't think anybody is going to try to catch them. I don't think anybody is interested. I don't think anybody can. That's their goal. Xbox is going in the direction of like this multi-pronged approach, and it's because it's Microsoft. They want to be in publishing. They want to be in cloud. They probably want to have a handheld. They want to be in mobile. Like, their strategy is completely different as well. Nobody is following anybody because they're all charting their own course. Windows OS actually wears out hard drives faster than Linux by a good margin. Microsoft OS, if you check Task Manager, is busy AF. What? So you said it's looking like everybody but Nintendo is putting their games everywhere. And I've been responding to that for the past few moments. And that's... Why are you talking about that? Oh. He means Windows has a ton of overhead. Yeah, but I don't understand how that's relevant to me saying that you can't say everybody but Nintendo is doing this when they all three have very different strategies and approaches to the market. Nobody's following anybody. Like nobody's following anybody. Nobody is following Microsoft's strategy of day and date on PC or publishing their games on platforms that were considered, competitors previously. Nobody's doing that. Talking to Zubair, Lono stunlocked. I got totally stunlocked by that. I was like, where's the comeback? Where's the response? Old school gamer, welcome back in as a member. Nintendo is special because many of us feel nostalgic about Nintendo and their games. Xbox and Sony are just plebs in comparison to us older gamers. I'm 43, and I think what you just said is nonsense. I mean, Nintendo clearly has a large draw with the younger audience. Like, my nostalgia did not make my daughter get excited about Princess Peach. And the Mario movie is doing wonders for Nintendo's generational reach. Like, Nintendo is making great strides with generational reach because that's Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean, come on. I think Nintendo has great reach beyond just nostalgia of like older gamers. And secondly, saying like, oh, us older gamers see Xbox and Sony as plebs. I don't know what you're talking about. I almost primarily game on PlayStation right now, and I've gone through the entire... Like, this is why people want to put you in a box, because it's easier than understanding that, like, I grew up with Coleco, then Nintendo, then PC gaming, then Xbox, then back to PC, then back to Xbox, now PlayStation. That's a winding... Remember Family Circus, where the kid would, like, go all over town before coming home with the bread that his mom wanted him to buy? It's like this, like, dotted path. That's, like, my journey through gaming. Like, it's all over the place. It's like... Because I have a magnetism to the quality. I'm like, well, where is the best experience? Where are the best game? Where are the best games? And my magnetism is just going to always pull me in that direction. I don't care about the brand. I care about what I'm getting out of the brand. Didn't John from Digital Foundry say in a recent direct that kids these days are only buying Switches and playing forever games like Fortnite? I mean, a lot of the data would indicate that the younger gamers are certainly funneling into Fortnite, but here's what that doesn't account for. They won't stay statically like that for forever. Right? A lot of us played games as kids that nowadays we would play and like have fun with, but we play more serious games, right? We sort of left that behind. I think what that data always ignores the fact that like okay, my nephews, for the longest time, they were all gravitating to Fortnite, Apex, Fortnite, Apex, Fortnite, Apex. And Old School Gamer upgrades to Member Plus, and that is worth 2. Whenever you guys upgrade, I double it. So let's see more upgrades, man. Use that upgrade command. So people tend to mature as gamers. So my nephews were all about Fortnite Apex, Fortnite Apex, Fortnite Apex. That's all they wanted to do. And then they got a little bit older. They started seeing other games. My one nephew did everything he could do in Hollow Knight. And then he beat Lies of P. And then they got a PlayStation 5. And now they're playing PlayStation 5 single-player games. Do you see, like, I don't think kids stay statically like, oh, yeah, all we're ever going to do is play kid games and Fortnite and, you know, forever games. That's where they trend in that age demographic. But the last I checked, they get older. They don't stay that age for forever. The question you have to ask is, once kids become 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, they get into their 20s, then what are they doing? Yeah, that age demographic, that's where they hang out. That's what they play. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. What happens when they get older? What happens when they mature, right? They're going to gravitate to other things. It's not like you're going to say, here's 12 to 15 age demographic primarily plays Fortnite and Apex Legends. Oh, and Call of Duty Warzone probably, right? So they're 12 to 15. Well, what happens in 10 years when they're 22 to 25? They might be still hanging out in Warzone. They might be still hanging out in Fortnite. That's fine. But they might do other things. They're not going to stay there, like, statically. Siriu with a $5 super chat. I only played Mario for the last 30 years, and here's why you should too. All right, let me set up Writer's Room. You guys have 5 minutes. 3 more super chats, and I add to the goal. I will add to the member goal if we get 3 more super chats. And then to be on pace for the week, we need 48 more. You guys will fall behind on a Monday. We've fallen behind before. When we catch up, it's not a big deal, but you make things a little easier on yourself. So you got 5 minutes, and we're going to be over in Writer's Room. This is a behind-the-scenes look at what we do. This is for members only. Prior to then, you likely don't have disposable income and are still using products others bought for you. Paul, good morning, Lono. Love the content. Thank you so much for 2 months of memberships and takes us to 53. For me, it's the reverse. I liked console when I was a kid. I was broke, and as I've gotten older, I abandoned console and went to PC. Deadeye Survivor says, slave to the system here. Decided on a new name. Well, welcome back. Good to see you. Appreciate that. All right. Writer's Room is set up. Let me set up redirect. You guys got 4 minutes. 4 minutes. If you want to scramble, now's the time. What? Oh, is it still private? Oops. I was like, I can't redirect? Sorry, I set up the member streams as private first because it should minimize how often that you get notifications. MASH, we summon you. Yeah, you guys can't always summon MASH. You can't. You can't. 10 of you doing a 5-bomb is equal to 1 MASH. You guys just need to band together and time it all. It's like Transformer. No, it's not like Transformers. It's like Voltron. You all need to connect together to form, 1 MASH member train. Okay. And, all right. Now will it let me redirect? No, I'm going to have to refresh. All right, hang on a second. All of my friends are gamers and usually play most on PC, yet have every platform, but Nintendo is the preferred platform besides PC, of course. Okay. Anecdotal. I mean, I'm sure there are people in here with completely different circles of friends that do completely different things. I mean, a group of friends all have similar behavior with their hobbies. More at 11. Like, I'm so surprised that a group of people that are friends all are doing similar things to each other, right? Like, you know what I mean? That would be like, well, most people my age are are really into NASCAR. Well, okay, so your circle of friends is really into NASCAR. Well, it's shocking that a group of friends have similar hobby behaviors. Like, you're not saying anything. Like, of course. Like, my circle of friends really like reading theological books. I wonder why that is, right? Like, obviously, circles of friends are going to have similar hobbies, behaviors, preferences. That's part of why they might be friends. Did you ever consider that, you know? All right, we're going in 1 minute. 1 minute. Well, I'll give you 3.5. The timer countdown on the super chat is going. There's 3 minutes left on the timer. I'll give you it. I'll give you that time. The people I game with are on the same system as me. And a $10 super chat from Hardcore Magnanimous Gentleman. He's like, we'll get a little bit closer. He says, Digital Foundry posted a video just unboxing the PS5 Pro. They were surprised when they saw the spec sheet inside say 16.7 teraflops instead of the leaks of 33. What do you think? I may be wrong. What we're hearing is that the RDNA will effectively double the teraflops. We're going to have to wait for the tests to see, because it just says it's an RDNA-based GPU. Guys, really quickly before we end, we need 23 more likes, and we need 2 more super chats to hit the goal, and then we can get the frick out of here. The super chats only need to be $5. It lets me set that limit, so we've got 2 minutes on that. But listen, if you haven't pressed the like button yet, do that really quickly before we leave. The show's over. We're getting the frick out of here, and that helps this video when I'm not live. Why would Sony put a smaller number on the box if they could legally put the larger number? Because it's raw specs, right? Right? I mean, I would imagine a raw spec sheet isn't going to show effective doubling through whatever this RDNA thread thing that he was talking about could do, right? You're just putting raw specs. I'm assuming a system that even overclocks. Does it show the CPU's numbers at the at an overclock or a regular? I don't know. I would assume you would just put the raw specs. All right, minute and a half countdown at the top there. It'd be funny if when you don't hit it, it would put like a frowny face or something instead of the confetti. Teraflops doesn't equal raw compute. Right, but like I said before, saying it's a 5 gigahertz CPU, but it's got hyper-threading, so it's 10 gigahertz CPU. It doesn't math like that. I don't know enough about teraflops. I don't know why everybody's obsessing over them, because they obsessed over them with the Series X versus the PS5, and look how that turned out. I mean, I feel like it's this weird buzzword that people can fixate on. The standard PS5 has 10. This has 16. Okay, that seems like a pretty big jump to me. Isn't that, we would call that a 60% jump, right? I don't know. That doesn't seem like a bad thing. I think there was a leak that had people maybe overhyping it, and maybe they just misunderstood the leak. All right, 20 seconds. 20 seconds on the super chat. Hyperthreads don't scale exactly 1-to-1 like raw core performance. I don't know. All right, let me get you guys a link. We're getting out of here. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, and here we go. There's the link to the writer's room. Thank you so much for being a member to this channel. You may have gotten gifted a member. Strong start to the week, already 53. That means I gifted 10. So that means 63 people got memberships today. Some of those are renewals. So always make sure you celebrate those renewals in that live show, or anytime really it adds to it, as long as you're at Member Plus and above. Going to continue to call on people to upgrade to Member Plus. It's $1 more. We need that number to go up. That's a very important thing to what we're trying to do here, and it gets you into more content. So consider doing that. It's super helpful also for more people to get gifted, because there are folks who just can't afford a membership right now. So consider hopping out of the gifted pool and making room for others. I'm going to end the previous stream and redirect folks over, and then I'm going to change the thumbnail for that video, because we are no longer live on that show.